Hey there, I'm Eternal, and I'm an object show fan who's on a journey to know everything about object shows. Let's play Object Catchup. Hello, welcome in to Object Catchup. This is where we discuss object show episodes right after watching them. Whether they are new or old, famous or unknown, it doesn't matter. We will get to it all. Now, today we have another episode, right? Where we just kind of take a look at things that released. Alright, now, will I be taking a look at the Lakeside party today? I do believe I will. However, before that, I want to take a look at something else because there's a big thing, one of the big chunky ones, which I kind of want to, just get out of the way. Not anything against it. I just having that big thing on the list. I should probably get to it. Then I get to it immediately, which is the new episode of Battle for PlayStation 5, which released like a month ago, back when I started hiatus. It's 33-minute long chunker. Now, what was going on with BFPS 5 back when we were last time? There's a lot of lore going on in this show. Okay, they renovated the house. Then they noticed their design changes for the first time. Yeah. Then we had the elimination, where the eliminated characters was Target Bag, I think an Instagram, yes. Then some fellas started complaining again. Then the challenge was to do a basketball. However, they ended up be kind of doing that, and like 50% of the time just doing relationship antics, because they are very much so distracted, right? Because there was the fella who's trying to win, right? The Dynamite is constantly trying to win. This drawing pad does not want them to win, but they're still trying to win, so they're upset. And then Indian Flag's upset at them, right? So while that's happening, Sheets is just getting absolutely bullied by everybody, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have right, like Cup, I think, got taught to the Lemonade because being the sister, because there was the whole problem because they didn't pick them that overtime to be safe. There's a lot going on, alright? Let's see if I can refreshen myself up. And remember, with the 33-minute long new episode, Redemption, go! Alright, a little while ago I watched episode 13 of season 3 of Battle for PlayStation 5, entitled Redemption. Yes, a lot of words. Now, okay, look, this is the type of show, in these comeback episodes, right, because it's been a while, I will need to always give the important preface that I have not watched the show in a while, right? So, I'm sorry if any details I'm not super remembering of, or I am not like if I'm not as up to date, right? If it's not as fresh in my mind, right? So you gotta keep that in mind, right? Take everything I say with mild pinches of salt. But again, I still do think it's important, because most people, I would say, don't rewatch an entire season before watching a new episode. So I think it's a default experience that a lot of people have, and I think I'm here to get that experience. All right, okay. We have here an episode that's very slow paced. Like, I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, all right, but I didn't remember it being this slow paced. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this show was never fast paced. It really wasn't. But I didn't remember it being that slow. Like, this is paced like a movie. This is movie pacing. Right, it's like it's proper like TV show pacing. Like those TV shows that are those not TV shows, those like series, right? The proper series that 8 episodes that is on every streaming service, right? Like, it's paced like that, right? Which is not bad. It's not bad at all. It's a little odd in an object show, because of course, because an object show directly in its format lends itself to action. But here's very relaxed, right? And even during the challenge, right? Like, it's doing the challenge, but we're kind of chill about it. There's not a lot of action going on, right? I mean, this is the longest episode, but yeah, I didn't remember it being that slow paced in the other episode. I think it's mildly slowed down, but I also think I'm not remembering remembering the other episodes super well here. Anyways, Tape Roll has a plan. What is the plan? Tape Roll, who's injured from something. Do I remember what? Not really. But the Tape Roll plan is to go into the Frozen Pepsi headquarters and search for files about the host. Because if I remember correctly, what happened was that, right, you found the thing on the ground, right, that was like the Frozen Pepsi, no, that like, for season 1, right? Is that what you found? What did you find? Oh, god damn. See, this is what I mean. What did you find? You found the paper. It was talking about season 1 of the show. It was talking about Frozen Pepsi or whatever, right? And how they hosted the season 1. Right, I think that's what they're doing. Tape Roll was trying to figure out what was going on with the season 1, right? So then you're trying to go into Frozen Pepsi HQ because you're trying to figure out something about that because 2B's kind of sus, right? Something about that. It's kind of suspect, right? I think that's what's going on. If I remember correctly. By the way, you're trying to find things about the Pepsi, right? Pepsi from Frozen Pepsi. But anyways, then you proceed to have, a little chat with Mousepad. They're both, of course, not doing great, but yeah, Tape Roll apparently wants to get eliminated because they have higher priorities. Still, this has always been a gripe with me and this type of planning, quote unquote, that ends up taking place, right? It's always been a gripe that it's like, hold on, why are you trying to leave the show where you get teleported after leaving? Like, you don't get to walk away. Like it's not you leave and be like, okay, you can go over to HQ now, bye. Like, no, you get eliminated, you get teleported to a room. You don't know you get teleported to a room, but you get teleported to a room, right? They at least know that they leave. They don't have free will to leave after getting eliminated, right? So this was always confusing me, because always the smart character. It's like the quote-unquote smart character that are spending all day planning it out, looking at a whiteboard, but then they don't consider this detail. It's like, if they get eliminated, they lose free will of movement. So they keep wanting to leave the show, and it doesn't. And it's like, do I have an example? I do have an example. The example is BFTDI. That was the one thing that I thought wasn't possible with the BFTDI that original finale, because it was like, okay, it was something like, oh, Red wants to leave, it wants to quit the show, right, while he's the host, while he can, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, but then, like, the line wouldn't be gone forever, then it's coming back, right? I'm talking more specific because Ava's in the show. So I think it's an interesting comparison point. But it's that same thing going on. There it turns out that no, if Liney doesn't come back, then the show can just end, and that is correct, so fair enough. But in this case, it's like, no, their Tape Roll has no free will of leaving. So that's always something that's kind of bugged me a little bit off. It's like, okay, I mean, I get it, but like it wouldn't play out like that, though, would it? But anyways, in the meantime, we end up having Tape Roll having the problems with TNT, because, of course, Mouse Roll, speaking of free will, Mouse Roll, I'm combining new ship trunk. Now, Mousepad is out here, we're talking about that there's no free will when TNT's around, because TNT keeps volunteering to do the challenges. Look, Again, I'm not 100% remembering everything that I said in my Battle for PlayStation 5. It's multiple days of watching it, right? Like, I got very into this show for a little bit. But it's like, I remember I was lashing out at Mousepad because this is the dumbest logic of all time, and I can confirm to you, like, 6 months later. No, it's not been 6 months. And I can confirm to you, like, 3 months later that it is in fact still not that's still really dumb thought process, like, what, I'm not gonna argue it too much, but it's like, there's no free will in the game. It's a team. They try and get you to the merge, mate, and then you have the freest of wills. What? But look, we'll talk more about this later, because it really becomes relevant. But anyways, it's elimination time. We end up having the sour cream and onion chip wake up from an alarm. By the way, shout out to this, because I don't think this is a screenshot from a phone, is it not? I think this is an actual designed UI, right? Like, it's supposed to emulate an iPhone, but this is not what a phone looks like. Like, that alarm is like not, well, you could have just screen capped an iPhone, but we didn't do that. We actually recorded the screen, which I think is very cool. But as we wake up, Uno card comes in being a troll as usual, and then we have ourselves the intro, and the intro, which, by the way, did the characters in the, you see, this is what I mean, I don't remember the characters in the intro having everybody having a stylized logo, and by everybody I mean majority of the characters, because half of them don't. But like, you know, I don't remember it, but also it might be there, right? Like, see, that's what I mean. Teleportation time. The eliminated characters. Not a lot of suspense on this one. Is Shark and Adobe Animate. Yes, it's the Shark and Adobe Animate who got eliminated yet again. This is not. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I feel like these shows stay in my mind usually because I haven't had too much hope. This one has kind of struggled with it. To like like the finer details with me. Adobe Anime was definitely dead in the last episode though. Adobe Anime was dead, got revived, they were liked, and then that was kind of a whole plot point, right? About how Adobe Anime was liked. Maybe they lashed out at some people. But yeah, they proceed, and I don't know, especially with the thing with Instagram leaving, right? So like the programs have been leaving. So yeah, that's kind of happening. And then Shark proceeds to dip. They dip away. 2B is doing classic 2B things. Blood Drop is now got to know more Shark to hang around with. So that's going to be kind of probably a little bit tough for Blood Drop. Adobe Anime proceeds to get pissed because of the dice that got stolen way back when to allow for the safety of, I think, like of Cup, right? But Adobe Animate wants to lash out. However, the cap just so happens to they step on the cap as if it was a landmine. We got a pretty cool shot. I'm not gonna lie, Cup sharing. That was pretty swag. Shout out to Impact Frames. Impact Frames go hard. And then we end up having to be spawn them in. The elimination area proceeds to be like, yo, no, I mean by the elimination area. They drop by to the elimination area where Dice ends up going like, hey, did 2B ever tell you why they were gone? I know, it was just hiatus, which is interesting. Now, Dicey's reasoning here is a little bit interesting, because what's the reasoning here? The reasoning for this is, like, for being constantly worried about it, is like, we want to prevent the hiatuses from happening again. I mean, like, yeah, you would like to, but you can't talk to two, like, you're in the thing, so why would knowing why they're in a hiatus let you stop them from being in a hiatus again, right? And then they're having their whole pre-chatter, right, with the, like, will we ever leave? We should try to leave and stuff, right? We don't want to be trapped here. We're accepting to rot here and stuff. We don't know where we are. I mean, okay, true. That is facts. But at the same time, yeah, again, this is another thing. Is that all these characters are out here. This is something that bothered me, even like in BFB. It was like the characters being like, we wanna leave, and then they spent like 4 million years thinking about how they want to try to leave, but they never actually do anything. They don't try to dig the wall or something. They just stand there and be like, what, you're just gonna accept you're gonna rot? But it's like, okay, if you don't accept that you're gonna rot, then go do something. I don't know, more useful than standing there being like, I want to leave. And maybe if you say it really loud, it's gonna work. You know, this is something that bugs me a little bit about eliminating contestants. But anyway, by the way, there's a planet in the sky now. What? Don't remember that. Was that a previously known detail? Was there a planet in the sky earlier? It's apparently getting close. I mean, that is very close. Looking at how it is at the sky. Like, that's about as close as the sun. That's getting to sun levels of size. Not necessarily, but you in the sky is pretty big. And they're the only two people that notice. Wait a minute, you need a telescope to see that? That takes up half the sky. Okay, interesting. Yeah, but there's a planet. Now, we did have the... We'll admit that we did, of course, have to have the shot be like, we could be at Jupiter for that matter, and then we end up cutting away to, of course, the logo and a sheet looking out at a planet, which I will admit does kind of have some Jupiter qualities to it, right? It's kind of gas giant, right? Like you see, it's kind of got stripes going all around a little bit. It's difficult to tell because it's gray, but like this kind of got stripes going all around. So I think Straw might have been cooking though. I think Straw might be onto something. I think the writers might be trying to tell us something. Maybe they might be in the Jupiter. All right, okay. I guess, you know, keep that in the back of all mind. Apparently they're going to try to send the satellite, but that'll take a couple of months, which is interesting. Well, I guess we'll find out how long that takes in a little bit. In the meantime, we end up having the team who's freaking like hella cooked. The team that's hella cooked, right? The team with Clyde and Code Bottle are yet again are trying to figure out what to do here, but it is definitely a struggle. It is definitely a struggle, right? We'll see, because they have the problem that Water's like, of course, all pissed off, right? Because they eliminated the other fella. Who was like their friend. They eliminated Dice, right? Did they use the dice to eliminate Dice, right? That's what happened. Is it? I think it is. It's just me. I'm sorry for this segment, bro. This segment is just me trying to remember things that happened in the show. But I think it is, right? Yeah. We end up having the other fellas, and then Drive goes up to Glitch. Goes up to the fella who's Glitch, right? The Scribble. And as trying to get them, they're all, of course, depressed because, like, well, I'm the Glitch, I'm all bad, I can't do anything. The thing dropped onto them because, remember, they tried to chop off the basketball thing to get it to land, right? But it ended up landing on the Glitch fella, which I think made the hoop disappear, right? So that's kind of what happened. So now they're feeling extra down about it because they, of course, ruined their team about it. Drive ended up suggesting the idea, hey, have you tried dying? Because, of course, if you could get recovered, you might get recovered to normal. We've seen the way they have like Trident water gum, right? Watermelon gum that like you can be in a different state and then die and you'll come back to normal, right? Same thing happens to some other fellas. So it could be a valid idea. However, the problem is, how do you die? Because nothing can actually touch you, right? Like, even if, for example, get a hammer and you strike it, right? Like, you're not gonna die. I think it will just glitch out. So what is the possible tactic to do it? Well, it depends on exactly how it works. Because, like, for example, my immediate idea is water. Right? Because it's like the ocean is right there. Surely if you touch the ocean, the entire ocean is not about to glitch out and disappear. Right? Like, surely that's not how that behavior would go. So then I'm kind of thinking, okay, well, maybe you could drown. That feels like a realistic option. Or, of course, yeah, Tubi could do something. Right? And by the way, that is a very interesting debate to actually have, by the way, because the cap from that acts as the teleportation device for Tubi, right? Or like, if it ever eliminates them, would it work? Would the cap glitch out? You see, that's kind of interesting. I mean, presumably you can just snap and it'll work anyways. But like, it's kind of interesting how that might impact things. But anyways, yeah, my main idea would be just drowning, right? Or like falling. Falling would be possible, because by falling, you don't touch anything, right? Like, it's a way to die, but not really touching anything. Fire as well. I don't think fire would glitch out. It's not really a thing, right? Like, the air isn't glitching out when you touch the air, right? like fire, I don't think it will glitch out. Yeah, the elements, basically. The elements. I feel like you could die from the elements, you know? Like, you could die by wind, falling. You could die by fire, probably. You could die by drowning, water, probably, right? I feel like these are the most reasonable options. I don't know what would happen, but they seem reasonable. But Anyways, it is time for the challenge. By the way, while we talk about the challenge, bandage. Another thing I don't remember. Is this the bandage VA? Cause I swear, I have not heard Bandage talk a lot, right? Because Bandage is not one of the most relevant characters of all time. But like there was, that voice sounded very unique. It was very unique, but like I think it is just the same. It's one of those things. It just escapes your mind, man. But no, yeah, that Bandage voice is crazy. Bandage, I think, has a few more lines here than usual, because Bandage does not talk a lot, right? So, that's kind of interesting. Anyway, shout out to Bandage. Bandage, cool voice. Anyways, yes, you end up having the obstacle course that has a couple of challenges in it. Then you end up to the end where there may be a clue, and then you have to type in to get the jetpacks that you can then utilize to fly up to the tubey fella. Okay, if you die, you can start over by calling out the name at the beginning. Interesting though, this does, I think, suggest a permanent failsafe, because somebody has to call you for you to get revived, right? Which means that if they just don't do that, or if everybody on a team dies, like if everybody on a team dies at once, then they're screwed, right? So keep that in mind, alright? But anyhow, the challenge then proceeds to begin. Anyways, then we end up having the idea, how do we get water? If we need to get everybody to the end of it, how do we get water to the end if water is busy not doing anything, right? They're busy sitting there being, like, sad. The idea that they come up with is, well, we can murder, water, and then we can eventually ask for them to be revived at the end, and that would work, maybe. Eh? Now, first of all, this plan A isn't even true. Like, this plan doesn't even work. Because, I get the idea. If you go to the end and ask for them to be revived, they'll be revived, theoretically. But that's not how the challenge plays out, because everybody runs back to the start. Everybody, like every single situation. Nobody got revived halfway through the course. So unless everybody just collectively was like, I'm going to run back to the start to call Tubi to eventually pick up the fella, kind of like how we did with Uno card, how we did for the other fella on this team, right? The Try and Watermelon, and that's the same team, right? Like, we needed to go back to the start. And either way, they had to do the course again. So, like, even if they didn't have to run back to the start to revive, water would still theoretically get respawned at the beginning and would need to do the course anyways. So so it doesn't help. You can't get water to skip the course, right? So that doesn't even work. So this team is just not. So the plan is just wrong. Then the second is we get Clyde to murder water. Now Clyde, of course, made a vow to not do murder, right? They end up getting a chat with their olden self, being like, "Yo, remember Coke was killing you all this time, and now you're out here trying to murder yourself. This isn't the you I know." Right, and then Clyde eventually decides, no, there's got to be another way. So drops the kill. And runs off. What? Okay. All right. Yet again, two easy things. Clyde, please. What do you just dropped it and you left? You still need water to finish the course. I don't know, then go talk to them. I get that it doesn't work, but if you're not doing plan A, switch to plan B. This fella gave up on plan A and proceeded to just not do plan. Just do no plans, no letter. What are you doing? What? Okay, that's... Huh? This is interesting, man. Like, in a way, I will admit, I kind of like it, because, like, you know, I've been pointing out, like, with this Battle for PlayStation 5, I have been pointing out, you know, lots of these kind of, like, character decisions, because characters think stuff in this series, you know? But I kind of like it because, like, the fact that these plans, they work or they don't work, and, like, they have these chats, and one person's in the right and one could be in the wrong, right? Like, it feels more personal in a way, you know? Because, like, it's, for example, like, I'm debating like what the characters are doing here, but I don't actually hold against the show, right? Because I haven't really talked about the technical elements of the show here. The technical elements of the show haven't actually changed in a couple of episodes, right? Like, in general, you know, a couple of scenes do take in the additional lighting work, like when it's like nighttime or sunrise, they lock in, but on a usual daytime is kind of standard, right? So, like, I haven't really pointed out technical details much, but, like, I do kind of like the fact that the characters, they have the flaws in a way, right? And they have these contradicting viewpoints, which can both be valid, right? And it causes that additional sense of like, humanity stuff, which means that I like the writing. The act of writing a character that does a dumb thing is, in a way, it's good writing, you know. Like, I'm gonna argue it because I'm looking at it from, like, you know, I'm gonna argue it because, you know, I'm arguing with the cat. I'm watching the show. I'm getting involved, right? And, you know, and, like, you know, that's what people do. That's at the heart of the reality show as well, right? Like, that's what you do in a reality show. In a reality show, you take a look at what the people are doing, and then you get involved, right? You argue it, like, is this person being dumb? Are they being a genius, right? And in a way, we add some of that in here as well. So, like, when me going, like, Clyde, what the hell are you doing? I'm not arguing with the show here. I'm not saying, show, what the hell are you doing? I'm saying, Clyde, what the hell are you doing? Because I'm getting involved in the show. But on the technical elements, by the way, anime is pretty solid. Voice acting is alright, for sure. Maybe the voice acting, like, there are a lot of characters that do utilize the power of the voice filter on them, and there are certain characters, like, and that can be a little bit weird, right? Like, for example, when there are, like, more justified robotic characters, but there's characters that utilize voice filters directly, even despite the fact that there's no necessarily reason for them to, like a Lemonade or something, which is kind of a thing about it, but it doesn't matter because the voices have already been defined. Right, like on, like, a initial setup phase, I would have maybe, you know, tried to, I guess, differ off a little bit, but in on average, it's like right now the voices are settled. That's how I recognize them, and they're solid, right? So no arguing, but I don't think I ever said this, so I just want to say this one time. In terms of writing, anyways. Okay, we're being slow. We are being very, very slow in terms of what we're talking about. So anyways, Van. Face Mask has one of those. They try to get everybody on, but not everybody fits. So they were going to leave Cup away. Lemonade decides, no, we're not going to leave Cup away. I'm going to stay with Cup because Cup wants to actually do things now. You know, I apologize to them. We're happy. So we're going to go together. So they end up going together. In the meantime, some fellas have to get past the wrecking ball. It turns out to be, you know, moderately difficult. Udo card be like, I'm gonna do it, and proceeds to die. Comic relief character proceeds to act like a comic relief character. Haha. Now, Clyde proceeds to admit to Code Bottle that we did not fetch water, and Code Bottle goes like, what? Are you just gonna lose? And Clyde goes like, we'll figure it out. We'll find a solution. By the way, if Clyde knew that they weren't gonna have the heart to do a murder, couldn't they just get Code Bottle to do like, Clyde directly volunteered to do murder. You could just ask Code Bottle. You could be like, okay, you do it, I'll go. Right? Like, you could have done that, but I guess you thought about it too late. Fair enough. Everybody's up there on the van from the other team. TNT decides, because it makes sense to, you know, try to sneak off on the van. It is the slowest van of all time. Everybody proceeds to run up. Sheets gets a message, however, that we gotta throw the car over the punching thing. Sheets does proceed to do that because she's very powerful, did you know? And then they eventually find an epic fire thing, which you can't throw it over the fire. Which, by the way, wait a minute, you can't throw it over the fire. Why not? why can't you throw it over? Wouldn't that be easier? I mean, wait a minute. Hold on. Wouldn't that be easier? No, that would definitely be easier, right? Because, like, it's like, if it's a vehicle, like, a vehicle isn't gonna touch the fire, isn't gonna fuel the fire, and then immediately, No, like, it's not gonna immediately burst into flame. Like, if it just skates by from a throw, it'd be fine. And the throw can literally be lower as well, because it's not like a physical thing. Like, the fire isn't a physical object. So she's could have absolutely thrown the thing over the fire, by the way. I'm calling BS right here. Uno proceeds to get revived. Comic relief after comic relief. And then we end up reaching the finish. Nobody finds or even thinks of the clue part of the challenge until this moment, like the entire time. However, then TNT proceeds to be like, yo, let's not try to do this, alright? Because, like, we don't need the clue. Let's just go over and explode the safe, alright? Because, you know, like, I'll take the hit, right? And then we can get the jetpacks. They proceed to do that, and then Mousepad gets upset. Mousepad sets the hit line. Have you not take any considerations? I feel like I'm not competing anymore since you're always volunteering and carrying us, and want all of us to have some sort of part in the challenge. Yet again, equal discussion here from Mousepad. As usual, that is a very bad way of looking at it. First of all, let's this will be the last time ever I argue with this. Look, I'm arguing with this because Mousepad is making this point a lot of times, okay? Did not take any considerations. True, they didn't. They completely didn't. I feel like I'm not competing anymore. You're always volunteering and carrying us. I want all of us to have some part of the challenge. Okay, well, that first of all, that's the point of the challenge. Everybody's supposed to get to the finish. So by winning, everybody contributed because everybody did the obstacle course. You know, like that was the idea, right? Like, you know, but beyond that, then it's like, first of all, I don't think the plan works, by the way. I don't think TNT's plan would have worked this time around. If you explode the safe, you're exploding the jetpacks as well, right? Like, they're not gonna explode the safe, but not the jetpacks. You know, like the jetpacks are gonna be more fragile than the safe. There's no way. So first of all, other than the fact that plan wouldn't even work. Yeah, secondly, that everybody is contributing. You all just did an obstacle course. And also, isn't it a little bit suspicious how you're okay with that, like, this Mousepad fella, right? This Mousepad fella, once TNT has to do anything, you're like, no, I don't get to do anything for the challenge. But then, when it comes time to, you know, be on top of the vehicle that I'm pretty sure TNT guided everybody to get on top, to sneak on top of, they're like, oh, yes, okay, I love skipping the challenge because on top of the other team's vehicle. This is so smart. I am competing right now. Like, what are we doing, bro? Oh, come on. Indian flag proceeds to go like, y'all are so dumb, and then proceeds to literally just be like, yo, come on, y'all keep blabbering, and I literally found the hint while we were doing it, which, yeah, that's very, very true. In the meantime, the freaking window fella ends up trying to jump up to a hint, which somehow they can't read from down there, and then proceeds to, of course, die, which means that they have to get revived. In the meanwhile, Drive proceeds to get up there, and they are safe. Mild critique here. Everybody has to get on, but from the way it's displayed, they always say a team is safe when the first person gets on it, right? Like, there would have been there would theoretically have had to be other people on the platforms for a team to be safe, right? Because, like, you know, like, the last person getting on would declare team safe, not the first, right? So that's something that I kind of critique, right? Like, when a team is declared safe, the other members are not seen yet, they're not displayed yet, right? In the same way that it's like, for example, you know, Blood Drop, directly open the case, right? Open the jetpacks. So you would presume that they would have first duty to the jetpack because they're the ones who opened it. So therefore, you would think that they'd be the first person up there, and therefore, but then the tuber declares them already safe. I get that everybody did climb onto it, but it's weird that Blood Drop is the last one when they're declared safe, even though you would expect them to be the first one up. That make any sense? Does that make any sense at all? I feel like, look, I'm saying things, alright? Bandit proceeds to get dissed for making everything about themselves. Come on, it's not that big of a deal. Everybody just hates Bandage for no reason. I'm a newly found Bandage fan. You know, I'm a newly found Bandage fan. Bandage, you and me. You and me, you and I together, we're gonna fight through the haters. In the meantime, a face mask proceeds to help out Water because, you know, Nobody on the team's gonna do it. So we end up having the conversation here with Water, and Water eventually speaks up, saying that they felt bad because Clyde thought it was perfectly fine to take their closest friend out of the game. Oh no, was it Clyde? Wait, no, okay, whatever. Anyways, in favor of the one being killing non-stop. Yep. And the person I've always had a deep hatred for. Then Face Mask goes like, well, look, you gotta like, look, I get you, but like, you have to play for her, right? You don't necessarily need to go far, you don't need to win, but you just gotta do it, right? And then Water proceeds to take the go. First of all, I'm sorry, right? How, like, just completely, still unrelated. I remember I called this out in the other episode. Why does nobody think to get Water some water? There's no water. You hear how they're like slurring the sentences? Which, by the way, is great voice acting work. But you hear how they're like slurring the sentences? Like they're weak. Give them some water, bro. Go get some. Come on, nobody did that. Not even anybody on the team. It's like, surely, like, this is how the logic works, no? If lemonade is in lemonade, then lemonade is weak if you empty the code bottle. Like, what? Nobody thinks to get some water. It's like the tiniest sliver of water. It's insane. But Water proceeds to, by the power of friendship, does manage to get up, fights off against the I keep forgetting the picture frame guy. What are you called? CTI? What, like picture of a table, TPI? Like table, picture of a table, framed picture of a table or something. Was that what it's called? Oh, goddamn. But wait, they managed to successfully get through it. The other fellas, of course, fell down, so we need to get revived. But remember, you can't get revived by themselves, right? So theoretically, they have infinite time from then on out. What else? You can't mind the paper. I really wish the answer was to be, by the way, because it'd be really stupid. Come on, Tubi wrote these clues. It'd be so funny if the clue, if they thought it was paper, and then it turned out, I know the answer is Tubi, because Tubi wrote it, and he'd be like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna write what object am I, as if it makes any sense. That would have been such a funny gag. We missed the gag opportunity. God damn it. But anyways, they managed to do it, and they are safe, except after a drum roll from Uno, comic relief character does comic relief, proceeds to have the twist be that they lose anyways. Lamel, yes, objects and Cedar and Water proceed to both be up for elimination. However, one team gets eliminated from each. W change. Yeah. Let's go. The two team, we're doing we do the teapot. Let's go. But yeah, this is good. This is good. This is something. I think it's something that I pointed out probably when I was talking about the season 3 episodes originally. Right. It was very much so like getting two teams, like you're getting two people eliminated per team is so harsh. It's so harsh. It's just not a good idea. One per team is perfectly fine, right? It's absolutely the way to go. I like I've seen shows that do it, but it's like by now. But like I cannot see a future for shows that do like two eliminations on one team. See a future as in like. I can't see a top level show appearing out of that system. Like I just can't. It hurts it so much. It hurts the dynamic so much in one go that like this is absolutely a welcome change. And therefore the voting is who's getting eliminated. By the way, that's a wonderful question. One person from each team is getting eliminated. By the way, My recommendation: divide up the teams next time. Is significant, like on the screen, because we just put like all the icons together. Be useful to have the UI be like which team is which. Okay, what characters can get eliminated? So, team objects is the biggest team, so they couldn't fit, right? Majority of people couldn't fit. So here there's cup, the picture of a table, there's the face mask, there's the glitch scribble, which, by the way, were you even there? What happened to you? Wait a minute. Were you even there the entire... Wait a minute. No, I'm thinking about it. What happened to you? Where were you? Were you anywhere? Wait, were you even... You were there. Wait, how were you ever supposed to use a jetpack? What? How were you ever going... Wait, you did get up there. How? What? What the hell? That makes no sense. Wait a minute. You can't touch anything, but you can put a jetpack on your back and use it, turn it on, and get there. Are we for real right now? There's no way. This is capping. But anyways, we end up having some fellas. I think the table picture is probably gonna go, right? Because the table picture has been looming in the background as like a kind of villain for a while, with the whole like friendship arc, right? With the whole like, oh, we're gonna be you have to alliance, right? But you can't be friends with anybody, right? You can't be friends with sheets no more, right? And then they try to kick Clyde off, and they act smug about it, right? And they're just generally they're just theoretically a mean figure. Maybe somebody else would get eliminated, but absolutely they should. Right, so my prediction is that. On the other team, Water seems like to be in the right, and we do, of course, have the C, so despite Water not doing anything, I think Water's probably fine. Clyde is very dumb. like, just very, very, very dumb. And definitely was throwing for the team there. But, yeah, and Cobot and Trident Waterman go, look, I would personally eliminate Clyde at this point. Because, Clyde has such a conflict with themselves. Right? Like, they're doing such a self-conflict. In this challenge, I like to base challenge performance into the equation. Right? And Clyde's challenge performance was abysmal. They were half just fall. They self-sabotage themselves all the time. They know they don't like murder, so they offer to do murder, proceed to drop the murder, not even try to solve it, do anything, proceeds to volunteer to run back to the start to go try and watermelon gun, proceeds to slip off, and was about to try to get back up, literally refuses help from trying to watermelon gun, says just go. By the way, if Clyde had fallen after trying to watermelon gun's done, they would not know, and therefore Clyde would never have been revived because nobody would have known that Clyde had died. So that's a terrible idea. You absolutely had to stick by the side. And also, why couldn't I help you? Why the hell could freaking Water, who's in the weakest version of themselves possible, because they don't have any water on them. They are, however, capable of cleaning you up, but a shredded watermelon gum has no capability of bringing you up. You see, Clyde has just made so many tier 1 errors, tactically speaking, that in my opinion they gotta go. They're dumb. But maybe not. In terms of the prizes, lemonade and actually no, sheets and water. I think Water gets a prize. I think Sheets gets a prize because Sheets is fan favorite. And then we have credits, which conveniently have no music. And there we go. That is the episode. No post credit. And that is the episode. What do I think of the episode? Very slow paced, but I like it. I will admit, I enjoy the show. It's one of those shows that feels very reality show-esque, right? I think that its best comparison point is probably something like MBMB. It's like MBMB. It's a bit more object show-esque than MBB is, which leans more on the total drama. But it's kind of like slow paced, longer episodes. There's a lot of conflict and drama between the characters, right? And there's a lot of built-up lore around the society and around the past, right? That's actually like that's like being built up across multiple seasons, right? So it's definitely difficult to kind of get into right now because there's a lot of kind of preamble, right? And it's a long series, right? And these are things that are true for both like Battle for PlayStation 5 and MBMB, or Mystery Boss Man Better, which I do gotta watch. I think a new episode of. So I guess I gotta get on that. So like these are all these are all things that are similar, but overall I really like MBB, and I like this quite a bit. The characters have some flaws, and I like that about them. I think the slow paced nature makes it again very smooth watching experience. Like the action, it never feels overwhelming. It's super easy to digest, right? You get to properly think, you get to properly debate. I like tactical thinking, and the characters do a lot of tactical thinking. Some of them do wrong tactical thinking, but they do a lot of tactical thinking. And overall, yeah, there's a lot of part of things, and I enjoy it. I enjoy watching the show. Absolutely, I enjoy watching the show. It does cool things, and overall, yeah, that is what I've got to say about episode 13 of Battle for PlayStation 5, Redemption. But why was it called Redemption? I think about it. I don't even know. I don't even know what it's called, actually. Who redeemed themselves? I mean, like, water? Did the water redeem themselves? I don't know. Okay, whatever. Anyways, next thing. Okay, we'll get to Lakeside Party in a moment, but for now, we'll do a quick thing because it's there. All right, is that Battleforsupreme came back after a couple of months and uploaded episode 2 of quote unquote A Show with People. Now, episode 1 of A Show with People does not exist, at least on YouTube. So we're gonna need to jump ourselves into episode 2 and begin our rummage through from there, I guess. Guys gotta eat. Alright, that is episode 2 of A Show with People. Now, apparently, according to the description, episode 1 is in the Discord server. No, okay, we're not doing that. we're not joining Discords to watch episodes, okay? I have my limits. But that means that we get to kind of crash into whatever the current state of the show is, where apparently some people are worried about the elimination. Like, nearly everybody is up for elimination. I think everybody except, who the hell was safe? Now that I think about it, because, like, there were 9 characters. Who was safe? It was the ball, the red ball, was safe already. Okay, so they won challenge 1. However, the votes, after 9 votes, everybody decided pretty much collectively to eliminate Mint Cube, who was already feeling worried about the elimination before at the beginning. So, yeah, they end up dipping off and just kind of walking away. It doesn't seem like this host has many powers to really be capable of doing much. It seems like it's kind of a voluntary show. They don't seem to have power. They don't seem to have much control over the landscape because they're not really much of a landscape. So that's kind of interesting. In the meantime, everybody else, in the show, who even is there? So there's the red ball, there's M1, that's a character I think from Ultra Kill. There's Nokia, and there's Nokia 2, because there's Dr. Pepper 5, which is like a gummy bear, Dr. Pepper. There's a message, which I forgot what you were called, but you had a name. A picture of me complaining. Oh, that's what it's called. And then there's also Yellow Hat. So this is interesting. I can't quite decipher from this whether this is a camp. However, by the 9 votes from a Discord server, I would almost presume that it is a camp. But I don't really know. It's technically watchable as an object show. So if it's a camp, then it's fine. The challenges are being to give our host, whoever this is, food. However, we're in a void. How the hell do we get food? The only solution which we have is to, of course, go over and fetch the characters that are food, which are Dr. Pepper, which it's a beverage, but whatever, and the mint cube, which presumably is made of mint, which would be eatable. Some fellas end up debating Nokia. One ends up stepping on Nokia, two cracks the screen. I guess they are not friendly with each other. They don't seem to be siblings. They seem to be something else. In the meantime, they fetch Mint Cube. However, they trip, and Mint Cube proceeds to fall right over at the host, where M1 was just sitting there. Not sure what the plan was, but it worked. By the way, shout out to the facial expression there on Mint Cube as being mildly upset about about them getting thrown around. I like the expressions actually quite a bit on this one. I mean, like, of course, it's slideshow-esque in the text is there, but there's some work done on expression work, and I enjoy that. Then we end up having the message of me complaining, turn Dr. Pepper into a Dr. Pepper. Okay, yes. And eventually submit it, and therefore they are safe. Dr. Pepper doesn't think of submitting themselves. Interesting. I mean, maybe they don't want to submit themselves, but that's kind of interesting. Maybe the critique that I would have, though, is still just kind of like, yo, what were these people doing? What were these people doing the entire time? You know, like, what was Dr. Pepper 5's grand idea? They were just standing there. Angry Ball was just sitting there with the arm held up in the air, like they're waving across the street, and M1 was literally just sitting there, right? So that's kind of my critique. It's kind of like, okay, it doesn't feel like half of these people were actually pursuing the challenge, though, right? And in the meantime, M1 wonders how there's a second Nokia. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, in real life, in the Nokia 3310, that means that there were 3319 previous ones. This is not true. But yeah, it's sad. Nokia screen is cracked. They're trying to deal with that. But yeah, overall, I like the expressions. I overall kind of like the characters, and I think it could be interesting. And also, like, by the way, can you just upload episode 1 if it's in a Discord server? Like, you have the file, just upload it to YouTube, make it like unlisted video. I don't know, like, come on. Alright, that is a show with people. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see if more of that ever happens. Yeah. Alright, it's time for the new episode of Lakeside Party, released just a couple of days ago. Yeah, I mean, I had to take a look at it. Lakeside Party is the big new hit thing. So indeed, 45k views in 2 days, isn't that crazy? But, yeah. As a reminder for what happened in Lakeside Party 1, a couple of people end up kind of, for unrelated reason, huddling around this general lake area that is fully 3D. And a fish pops out from the water and hosts a show, which is, you know, pretty cool. And they proceed to make 2 teams of 4, and the challenge is to stack as high as possible. A team fails to do that, and a team does manage to do that successfully. However, they get their a little Jenga tower knocked off by Awesomness, which is very fast and very good at kicking things. So Trowel, by just standing in the general area, manages to win it for their team, and the other team loses, which is interesting. Episode 2 of Lakeside Party is entitled The Tasteful Cooking Challenge. Here we go. Hello, I am joined here by the sounds of the road to do Lakeside Party 2 coverage. Yes, a while ago, a couple hours ago, I watched the second episode of Lakeside Party. Now, this is the first time that Lakeside Party is in a episode, right? That's because Lakeside Party episode 1 was its own half episode that was half an hour long. We will hopefully not be talking about it for that long, but yes, Lakeside Party, one of the big deal shows, right, of 2026. Absolutely, it is one that absolutely took off. I mean, it was taken off when I covered it. It has ballooned to significantly more than that. Episode 1 did very well. It was the show that just came in fresh off the grill with all of the foundations there. It didn't feel like it had to fix a thing. It was fun, it was funny, it was unique in terms of style, while at the same time feeling fresh with its vibe, and also feeling promising, because it wasn't a grandiose project. I do feel like nowadays, these types of, the grandiose project have 1 billion people on it, sometimes they get less traction because there's less promising things about it, because you know how they're going to play out, right? They're going to play out, they get an episode once a year, right? But like in this case, everybody was hooked in. It was promising. There was a vision, and we were believing, right? It had all the foundations. So now the second episode is relatively important to try to, of course, see what is going to be following in. If I remember correctly, from episode 1, right, my commentary on episode 1, which, fun fact, Lookpo did see, comment on it. I wonder if we'll see this one. Hello. But yeah, it was basically that it was like, the show had every foundation right, so now it just needs to cement its place in the culture, right? It has the opportunity to do so by just being a presence, right? Because the current way that it is perfect, so it has to settle in its place in the culture by, keeping it going, getting multiple episodes, and not an obnoxious amount of waiting time. It's been about, how long? It's been about like 2.5-ish months since episode 1, which is good enough. That is, in fact, I would say enough time to where, Lakeside Party 1 still feels relatively fresh, it's still relatively new, right? We've got some nice things going on, and I mean, you can see viewership hasn't really dropped. What is this? 40k views in 2 days, right? So we are still tuned in. We haven't forgotten, right? And overall, in terms of the length of how long it took, I would say it's solid. Now, is it settling its place in the culture with how the show feels? Well, but let's start talking about it. So, we have ourselves the beginning, and pause. We immediately have a gigantic change, which you were able to notice from the first frame. The aspect ratio changed. The aspect ratio. It is no longer widescreen. It has turned itself into a 4:3. Is this a 4:3? Am I dumb? Is this like I think it is a 4:3, right? Or is it like a mildly widened one? Well, no, I think it's we'll say 4:3, all right? It's no, it's not 4:3. It's 4:3 is vertical. It's 1:1, right? 1:1 square. No, is it? Wait, what what aspect ratio is square? I think it's 1:1, right? That's aspect. 4:3 vertical, 16:9 widescreen, and 1:1 square. I'm sorry, I'm doing dumb. You know, it's because of the tournament. it's because of the tournament, bro. Where the freaking the short round, right, was the thing, and it kind of ended up troubling it a little bit. It should be 1:1 square. Yes. Okay, but anyway, yeah, the aspect ratio change, which is a big deal. That is actually quite a big thing, because of course it just changes the general feel. Is this a good change? Debatable. It comes in with some positives. Well, one of the main positives is absolutely that it definitely has the feel of the show complements the square. Absolutely, it does. It complements the square because it has that kind of 3D feel, because it is 3D, right? It has that kind of 3D to it, which does give it that kind of 2000s DVD, right? 2000s DVD kind of not 4x. Fuck. I gotta stop. If I ever say 4:3, just imagine square, okay? That kind of range. Like, so it does kind of have a 2000s DVD feel, right? While at the same time having that kind of just super relaxed vibe. And yeah, it's a welcoming vibe, and it does feel more at home in the aspect ratio, right? In the square aspect ratio. So I do like it. I think that it complements it. The only thing which I'm worried about a bit, though, looking into it, is that by making your aspect ratio square, it does have, while it complements it, it does hurt one pretty relevant detail about episode 1, in my opinion. It's that Lakeside Party was a show that, while it had a style, its style was not a gimmick. You know? Like, the fact that it was 3D was never an extremely relevant gimmick to the show. It just happens in the 3D environment, right? However, by directly making the main the main show in a different aspect ratio, right? Like that, like it turns the 3D into it becomes a bit more gimmicky. In a way, right? Like, you can see that it leaning into it, right? Instead of just having as a detail, you can see that by making the aspect ratio square, and also by many mentions of the art style directly in this episode, you see that, like, it mentions itself, right? Which by doing these kind of half meta decisions does make its 3D environment and its art style a bit more of the gimmick with the show rather than the existence of the show, right? That's kind of what it is. Foundation versus gimmick. I don't mind, because again, the aspect ratio is good, but it is a very important detail in my opinion. Like, it is very, very big. So I don't mind. It is a detail to consider, I think. But personally, I don't get impacted by it, and I don't think most people will. Okay, well, we might be talking about this episode for half an hour if I keep going through things this slow. So we start off here with some fellas playing a board game, and they proceed to do their classic level of interactions. Elimination time, because some cards are shuffled into the deck by our fellow fishbowl, who starts hosting the elimination, and as they proceed to host of it at the family board game night of King of the Seven Seas, which is one of the board games of all time, we proceed to host the elimination. The votes proceeded to get brought up. Spaghetti is safe with the most votes. That makes sense. Spaghetti did do the challenge for the other team at the very least. And in this elimination, you get to see, of course, a lot of the classic writing components, right, that end up structuring how Lakeside Party humor tends to roll, which means that it's kind of supposed to be mildly awkward, mildly honest, right? It's supposed to have a grounded level of reality, to be kind of slow, utilize audio, keep the music kind of on the low key, simple instruments to kind of complement the simple aesthetic, right? While having the character be mildly awkward, it doesn't feel scripted, which means that it's grounded at a level of reality, so that makes a little awkward humor relatively funny. It's absolutely my type of humor. I love the guys in it. But yeah, you can actually see it done here with the mud pie and everything else. They get to turn in the board game. They proceed to spin like a D128 or whatever the hell it is. It's like a 1 billion. They got a 115 though, which is a lot. So fair enough. Yeah, I mean, okay. If I'm not mistaken, isn't one of Lukpo's previous videos like how many sides can a die have? Is that not a video? I think that is a video, right? So we see, we're welcoming in some of that crap. I mean, I don't know what the answer of the video was. How many sides can a die have? I'm gonna need to check that out. Anyways, so new section on the video. How many sides? No, I'm kidding. But we end up having of course, they keep counting. Sushi is safe, and then the bottom two is Poster as well as Butter. The eliminated character proceeds to be Butter. My favorite gag is absolutely them pulling out the wrong card and proceeding to read it completely seriously, which I find very funny. But yeah, they got eliminated with 2,781 votes. They proceed to lash out, and be mildly mean. But that was kind of their whole thing. Generic first boot character. And in the meantime, the teams proceed to get shuffled around a little bit because Spaghetti want to get somebody on their team, but then they're getting the host on their team. They ask the Fish, and the Fish, of course, agrees, which keeps up to the relatively unserious nature of the show, which is such a big element of the show, right? Like, one of the things that helps is just that vibe, right? It's that vibe. It has the welcoming, chill vibe, right? Which is something that I think has been severely kind of lacking in object shows in general, right? And it's something that I even mentioned with the earlier section about PlayStation 5, but which is also a bit more chill. But I mean, it's more chill paced, but it's not more chill in terms of the things that happen. But it's very relevant here to kind of say that. That's one of I think the main thing that the show does, because object shows are so involved in the action of it, right? It's one of the core components: the actions, the drama, the relationships, the challenges, the everything, right? Whereas when there's just a show that's just kind of people competing, not really doing a whole lot, right? It's not that big a deal. The host isn't any type of omega power, right? The contestants aren't necessarily fighting vehemently for it, right? Is that even a word? I think it is, right? all the detail, it just creates this relatively chill component, and you can just kind of get to see a fun little comedy show that's not got too much else writing on it, and that is something that people want to see. That is something that people want to see, quite a bit. If I'm not mistaken, even from back in the era, right, where object filler again, OFA was rather similar in terms of kind of vibe, right? But host that isn't a superpower, the characters aren't necessarily exaggeratingly bothered, right? But they're just kind of there, so it has a little bit of a more relaxed vibe of show. But I mean, the characters are trying to do the challenge, and they put a degree of effort into it. They're in the show, but they're not but they don't get affected by the show, right? It's when you're playing a game, you're not affected by the game. If you play a game of Monopoly, right? You're playing the game, but hopefully, and I mean, I guess I shouldn't have brought a Monopoly example, but you won't get involved in the game and make that your whole deal, right? I know y'all playing Monopoly, a little bit suspect, right? And there are definitely, and by the way, there are definitely, I think, some shared similarities. There's the shared DNA between OFA and this show. I feel like there is more than you might think, right? Because isn't Diamond Cup also kinda YouTube? Did YouTube for a bit, making these kind of half skits videos, kind of Bill Word style, and didn't Lupo also make these kind of half skits video with a kind of Bill Word's educational style? Hold on a minute. I'm clocking everything right now. Okay. New theory. Holy. Alright, I got it. Anyway, so we're talking about, the teams end up being quite a bit confusing because everybody ends up swapping. Okay, so Trowel and Slideaway proceeds to join the host team because they have the host on it. However, now there's too many people on the team. So Spaghetti proceeds to leave to go onto the other team, onto the best friends team, and they just kind of end up wait, hold on. What happened? Spaghetti wanted to leave the team. Wait, what? Hold on, what happened? Oh, they weren't gonna leave the team, but then Sushi and Poster were like, no, don't leave. We will leave the team. Oh, no. Wait. Spaghetti... This is so confusing. Spaghetti leaves the team because there's too many people on it after Trial and Side Whistle join. Sushi and Poster proceed to leave with them because it's like, I will follow you where you go. However, Spaghetti then 180s and goes like, wait, hold on, the host is on that team, so I'm going to go on that team. So that means that Sushi and Poster proceed to be halfway where they were going to switch team. However, Spaghetti halved off. So now they're stuck there, which means that they formed their own team. That's kind of what's going on. So their team is called the Best Friends, and then we end up having the challenge. The challenge proceeds to be a cooking challenge. Just kidding. The challenge is a painting challenge. Spaghetti proceeds to do some epic painting, and proceeds to draw the Mona Lisa. Do I have a good pun I can make with that? The spaghetti. It's like tomato sauce. It's like the Tona Lisa. The Toma Lisa. Alright, there you go. The Toma Lisa. And everybody's pretty shook by that. So, yeah, in the meantime, Walk Signal, which I remember the name of now, probably. Is that the name? Are you called Walk Signal? I hope you are. Chats with Lilypad. Lilypad continues to act as yoga instructor for Walk Signal for the next while. We end up having some cool little lens moments, right? Looking at the sun, and then it turns into kind of this like little view that expands. There's some cool signals, right? Then in the meantime, Poster proceeds to end up teaming up with Sushi as the best friends. You can kind of see that there's trying to be a little bit more focal point put onto that being the dynamic, because they have a unique dynamic compared to the other characters, right? Because of course they're the only characters that are known to necessarily know each other like a lot, other than of course Silent Whistle. So well, that's kind of a different thing. So like there's a little bit more emphasis put onto them, and there's a couple more subtle character interactions that are rather fun between the two. So I like that. Again, it's cute. It's a cool show. Spaghetti proceeds to screw up their drawing because, you know, it was not good enough. They want to start over, however, they're not allowed to, so they end up giving Trowel the drawing utensils, and they proceed to go over and draw. We end up over at a room where we're about to emulate a Bob Ross tutorial, which I love, especially, which it's a joke that you can now do better, because of course you have the square aspect ratio, and that gives off very Bob Ross vibes. However, as you're about to do it, you end up failing to make a gradient, because the art style, right? The art style prevents gradients from existing, which is very cool detail. I didn't actually catch it immediately, but after the second gag related to art style, I was like, oh, that's what this show's doing. It's very creative, you know. It's that type of joke. You can do it, I think, in moderation, because again, exaggerating that gag hurts, I would say, the show, because that turns your art style into the gimmick rather than just how it is, right? You know, by constantly mentioning, oh hey, isn't it wacky how this show has a different art style? Haha. It stops turning the foundation of the show into the art style, right? Like, it's not just a part of the universe. It's directly something weird, right? It's, you know, that's again something that I have to reiterate. But the gags are good. The gags are very funny, so fair enough. Then, in the meantime, they end up agreeing with Side Whistle to trade the drawings, and they do proceed to trade the drawings. However, the drawing that Poster and Sushi made was just a drawing of themselves, so trading that in ends up being a little bit more complicated. Fish proceeds to judge them. However, they are, you know, of course, on the team. It ends up being a little bit complicated. Poster ends up speedrunningly drawing Santa Hat, which since Santa Hat is apparently their other beloved best friend and wife, which is suspicious thing to add on to it. I don't know. I guess we gotta keep that in check. We gotta write that down. Write that down. Something suspicious. That facial expression after it. You know, there's something going on there. But either way, they get a 7 in their own team, which is the drawing of the best friends, which they go way back, and they're getting a 7.5. So then there's the last T, the team Boss Signal and the Lily Pad. Now, they have proceeded to do something legendary. They have done something no man on earth has ever done. They made blue. Holy shit. You can make new color. We invented a new color, and then it's just blue. And then the fish bees like, it's a sacrifice. We can take it. We can allow blue to exist. All right then. And so therefore they win. I mean, look, if you invented a color, that's a pretty deserved victory. I can't even lie. I can't debate it. They invented a color, bro. Invented a color. I've never done that. Maybe I gotta lock in with the lily pad strats. Maybe I gotta like close my eyes or something and go like, I don't know. Anyways, people are up for elimination. Who is getting eliminated? That's a great question. So there's a couple. So some teams do some interesting tactics. That's actually a wonderful question. Well, here's the deal. These teams are gonna lose anyways, right? Like, it doesn't matter because the other team didn't get a beatable score. The other team got a score win. Right, so it doesn't matter what these people did. Everybody was up for elimination. Now, there's only the one debate is that obviously, right, the thing that stands out in this elimination is the fish. Right, that's the thing that stands out like a sore thumb because that's the host, and the host being a contestant is an interesting rule, right? So while that is a thing, you want to vote. However, the thing that happens is that keeping the fish safe is uninteresting. Getting the fish eliminated is more interesting because what happens when the host gets eliminated? Usually a character leaves. In this show, would they leave? Would they remain? Would they just go back to hosting duties? What would happen? Right? Which is a great question. However, this is a vote to save. Right, and in a vote to save, like, if it was a vote to eliminate, I'm going to be honest, I 100% think the fish would be eliminated, because it's just interesting. It's a more interesting question, right, and it's not a show, it's not a big deal, because, like, there's not that much riding on the eliminations, right, which means that somebody like the fish getting eliminated, it's absolutely a vote that you can throw away to, but on a vote to save, the fish is also going to get a lot of votes to save, because it's just the fish. Right? It's just it's the interesting question, right? It's about the fish. So, like, is the fish gonna get the least votes to save? No, right? Never, 0 times will that ever happen. There's no way, right? Which means that, like, there's just big problems, right, in that aspect. And, I think that's kind of the issue with the vote to save, just saying. Spaghetti got a lot of votes last time, however, they did completely throw the theoretical challenge this time, by, of course, making the Toma Lisa and then proceeding to butcher it with more tomato than pizza. It's like the tomato Lisa, so they did screw up. The other characters are just kind of not super useful. Slide Whistle is maybe the okay, I'm gonna say, just on a whim, right, that the best friends get some good screen time. Trow gets some good screen time. Spaghetti gets previous joy, and the fish is interesting. So the only character that really stands out there, I think, is Slide Whistle, right? As the character that doesn't necessarily have a lot riding on them. So I'm gonna say that Slide Whistle gets eliminated. I don't know if that's incorrect. I'm not confident about it, but by process of elimination, I have to tell you, Slide Whistle. Let's see if that is correct. We will find out in due time. So that is the episode. Cool, it is interesting. It sticks to the foundations, kind of. It sticks to the foundations, except the aspect ratio, which is bold. It helps a bit. So it's mildly divisive. I think overall it's good, though. But yeah, I like that. And overall, I stick to the foundations. It got it done in a solid amount of time. I mean, it's longer than episode 1. It was 14 minutes long, but I didn't feel it, which is nice. A good detail. I like the detail of Butter also leaving out into the city as well. So that's kind of interesting. That's kind of engaging. And overall, yeah. I guess the main tip that I have is rehire the subtitle person. What the hell happened to them? I mean, subtitles in Lakeside Party 1 were so good. Where did they go? I need them back. But yeah, anyways, that is Lakeside Party 2. We have been talking about that for, a while now, but it's Lakeside Party. It's the big show, so it deserves it. Next thing. Addendum to this section after, like significantly after. What the hell was I on about? 4x3 is square. What? what was I saying? Why did I psych myself out of saying 4x3 is square? By saying 4x3 is is vertical. No, it's not. What? I'm so sorry for all of that. I am so stupid. What? Huh? That's a catastrophic level blunder. I don't have an excuse for that. That's just embarrassing. Slide me out. Alright, next up, we are gonna go over to the vkiraioldchannel channel because we have a series which I happen to not have missed completely. I completely missed it. It's not one of those things. Should have taken a look at it before, but I didn't for some reason. I think I really did just miss it. It has an interesting name. It's an acronym is probably read out as OIAFOTOTIAFTINDBTOIAINDITSW. So that's the title. It's one of the greatest titles in Object Show history, and it has 3 episodes, of which they're all about 2 to 3 minutes long. Don't know what it is. We'll find out. Episode 1 is entitled Daycare Disaster. Go. There we go. That is episode 1 of that. What show is it? What is this show even called? I don't even know. It showed object is a function of the object that is a function that is not defined by the object itself and is not defined in the same way. That is the title of the show, which I will not be reading out every time. We have ourselves some people being boarded and non-existy, which is not canonical to BFDI. Non-existy, unfortunately, because they do have a face, is hosting a show. There's an interesting dynamic here between some characters being having a funny mic, as it's called, aka loud, and our host being relatively quiet, actually, in the way that they speak. And some characters are a little bit quieter, kind of like Scribble, kind of like them. Like there's a very wide range of volumes actually being portrayed here, which is interesting. But we end up having them split into 2 teams. So in one team we have face, we have loud guy, and then we have Scribble. And on the other team we have 8-ball, we have a bee, and we have an eyeball with some pretty cool powers. And now the challenge is to destroy that building. There are 2 buildings, however. There is a building that is already destroyed, and there is a daycare. So everybody just presumes, that we need to destroy the building, right? That's built, right? So we need to go over there, and we need to destroy the daycare, because that's the challenge, right? And they proceed to do that. Eyeball has the chance to. They have a couple of laser beams, but they decide to actually destroy their own teammate instead, which is great. A great plan right there from Mr. Eyeball. And then Scribble, who happens to have also laser powers, proceeds to destroy the daycare. Non-autistic was like, what the hell were you doing? Don't destroy the daycare. Destroy the other building. But yeah, no, I mean, like, I kind of get it. I was looking at it, and I was like, okay, no, you're supposed to destroy the daycare, because like, the other building is already looking destroyed. Right, so, this is not what you're supposed to do. And I mean, okay, I guess, fine, our host isn't mega evil. Well, we didn't know, okay, we did not know. Who's getting eliminated? I don't know. Eyeball did sabotage, but the dead guy is a dead guy. I'm gonna say that the dead guy leaves because there's nothing about the dead guy that is interesting, right? Like, they don't appear, nothing happens with them, right? There's not much potential there. So I'm gonna say, hope they get eliminated, but it could be Eyeball. Okay, yep, that's an episode. The second episode of how do I say this quickly? OIAFOTOTIAFTINDBTOIAINDITSW. It's entitled The Long Lost Grape City. Alright, that is episode 2 of Object is a Function, Function is not Function, Functioning while Functioning. And yeah, I mean, I find it interesting. To be honest, like, I enjoy the dynamic that ends up being here, because like it's actually hilarious how quiet Non-Existy is. Like, Non-Existy is getting drowned out by music that's not even loud. The music is not loud. It's debatably quiet, but it still drowns out the voice completely, because the voice is like, it's like, I'm gonna put the microphone here, and it's like, guys, who do you want eliminated? And it's like, bro, speak up a little bit. It's like, what are we doing, bro? But like, anyways, what were we saying? Yeah, so I kind of like the dynamic because it's them, and then there's like kind of the shouty people, right? Like Scream Guy and 8-Ball sometimes. I do like the consistency of the fact that the only other character that also peeks a microphone is 8-Ball. But sometimes they have like the capability to, but they're not necessarily, right? So I like that as well, right? Like there's a couple of consistent character details, until eventually, Non-Existy where like, hey, hey guys, can you stop? You're hurting my ear. Obviously to do that, the show has an intro now because, why not? We end up having to challenge me to get a grape. Now, how do you get a grape? You have to go to Grape City, which is not Yo-Yo City. It's not. No, I would never. You would never do Yo-Yo City. What even is Yo-Yo? But they proceed to do it by getting into the coolness van, which no, is nothing to do with free smart. What even is a free smart? Free smart? What do you mean free smart? Here, smartness costs money. Education is expensive, you know. But yeah, then they proceed to do that, to go fetch a grape. Well, actually, they don't fetch a grape. The other team proceeds to fetch a grape from the first team, who never actually fetched the grape to be stolen in the first place. So I'm not sure how that happened, but but we'll just presume, alright? Well, they just did it, alright? I mean, the Scribble, Smile Faces, Screen Guy are up for elimination. I would probably eliminate Scream Guy, because Scream Guy not screaming, that's just Guy, and Guy isn't the most interesting character in the world. So I would probably go and eliminate Scream Guy. By the way, Eyeball eliminated. I completely forgot to actually say this. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Eyeball threw the challenge, so they should lose. I was hoping Dead Guy was gonna go, but you know, I guess Dead Guy lives another day. And yeah. Additional thing, I like the facial expressions. That's always something I've kind of liked about vkiraioldchannel stuff, even from the previous, of course, series that we watched, from them, the more serious ones. You can still see that there's a lot of facial expression variety. It's just like part of the nature of the style, right? So that's kind of cool. I like it. Anyways, it is now time to jump ourselves over into episode 3 of OIAFOTOTIAFTINDBTOIAINDITSW. It is entitled, this episode is about Pizza Jr. Alright, that is episode 3 of Object is a function of... Wait, do I remember? Hold on. Object is a function of the object that is a function that is not defined by the object. Fuck. I lost it. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that's episode 3 of the show. And overall, I mean, like, it's fine. It's, I try to kind of stay away from humor conversations with these kind of shitposty shows, because, like, I don't necessarily, like, I don't mind it, I gotta just kind of watch it and give a general run through of it for these, because like in terms of humor, there's not much to comment on it. Like personally, if I were to give a humor review, I think that like I get the humor and it is funny, but you're overdoing it, right? Like the entire episode is this kind of awkward lingo between the characters, as it seems like they're stuttering the entire time. And like, again, that's funny, true, but you can't just do that for 3 minutes, right? A joke is like there needs to be a layer of jokes, right? But like, I don't care, right? Like you gotta do what you gotta do. Basically, it's kind of like the initial line. It's like, what is that thing over there? And then people go, many time ago, the people managed in 1924, and then the host goes like, what's up guys, it's elimination time. Like, you see, it's kind of awkward, like, and I get that it is funny, but you can't just always be doing it, right? Anyway, Scribble gets eliminated. I mean, you can't always be doing it. Like, I don't care. Scribble gets eliminated for some reason. Not really sure why. But, as usual, I'd like to point out, yet again, I really like the expression of the host, right? You can see the animation, like, really take its freedom approach. Because, like, it's the... And I mean, yeah, there are okay, here's the deal. The characters, they are expressive. Like, Scream Guy is expressive. The 8-Ball's especially in the later scenes when they're at Freddy's, quote-unquote. By the way, you could have at least made the background gray or something to show they're in a building. It's not that hard. But, like, like, I really like this expression because, like, it's just... the characters are expressive but not super expressive, but you can see non-existent because there's not the character body to utilize. It's so much more expressive, right? And I really like it. I like looking at non-existent a lot because it's just pretty cool. They just look swag. With the facial expressions, right? Like, they show the worry more, they show excitement more, they show general emotions more, fear, happy, like, it's all of them. Like, I like it quite a bit. And that's my one main takeaway, is that there's absolutely a lot of good to be seen in the vkiraioldchannel style, right? And I am happy to comment that it is good. It is good. I enjoy. But yeah, in terms of this show, I guess this, of course, we're at the new episode of it. Yeah, it's a show. All right. Yep, that's a show. I don't have much to comment on it. Maybe I think you should try to probably give itself a little bit more visual gag to it. Maybe. I would try to sprinkle a little bit more, because, like, for example, the concept of being a Five Nights at Freddy's, it's there, it's funny, but, like, wouldn't it be funnier if you just had random, like, if you could see it, right? If you could have random JPEG of FNAF in the background, or, like, have a JPEG of Freddy pop up, or, like, like, something, kind of like those old SMG4 videos, right? Like, if they just recorded them in a white void and be like, wow, my god, I'm at Freddy's, yeah! Like, it wouldn't be as funny as if they're in the pizzeria, right? Like, this is what I mean. But, oh well, whatever. That is all. Next thing. What the hell do you want call outside? Okay, sorry, next thing. Next up, a quick stop by to Object Drug. Yes, because the Rayworks channel has this show, which we took a look at because of it's a collab episode with Empty Room. That a couple months ago did episode 2 first, which was a little 1 minute kind of shitposty thing. A character got eliminated with 0 votes based on just vibes. Then the challenge was to swear, I think, and then a character swore and proceeded to be eliminated. And then we don't know what was going to happen. There was no voting, there was no anything, but it did say episode 1 was coming soon. So let's see. Episode 1 is indeed now here. Sometimes there's hot dogs. Go. And there we go, that is episode 1. Now, I mean, it is interesting to have episode 2 before episode 1 and then kind of have to write episode 1 in a way that leads into it. That's what BFDIA has been doing this entire time. But, leading into IDFB. But, like, in general, this episode, it's alright. It definitely does the thing. You know what I was thinking? I don't know if I caught this on, but, like, is it called Object Drug because every character is a drug? I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe not. Because, like, what the hell is cool ass. But like, if you consider that every other character, Pilk, Boba, Evil Boba, or Bob Sick, or whatever they call it, like, is a drink. Maybe they're all drugs. Come on. It's the only one that doesn't make sense would be a cool ass. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, the challenge, you apparently are fighting for the host themselves. I'm not sure how that works. You just earn rights to the host. The challenge is to kill the French. They proceed to do that with state-of-the-art technology. And then that is it. I do wish that they had a voting screen. To be honest, I think it would have been cool, because we do know that there's supposed to be votes. Nobody voted, but they're supposed to be, right? So that would have been nice. However, unfortunately, no, that is not the case. And yeah, overall, that is episode 1. There's very little to say about this show, to be honest. It's too short for me to talk too much about it. But yeah, episode 7G is up next. I'll be waiting on my 5G connection. And yeah, next thing. Next up in the parade, we're going to go over to Owner's channel, because there have been some new episodes of Object Thimble. Do I know what that is? No, not really. However, we shall go take a look. I was supposed to take a look at Owner's channel back when like acronyms was happening, but it turns out that acronyms as Object Thimble wasn't a new episode. It was a remaster and cow, right, and all that stuff. But either way, it's been quite a while. We don't, I believe, need any prior preamble to it. The episodes are pretty simply titled Object Thimble Run 1. That's the first one. Here we go. Okay, that is episode 1, which is entitled Run 1. We don't quite know why the episode's called Run, but I mean, every episode's called Run. Maybe we'll find out sometime. Okay, I see. I get it. This entire thing operates under the one sort of vague concept that was like, alright, what if you take the steps of an Object Fooligan show, right? So, you know, minimal possible thing. Host, characters say hello. Challenge that is extremely basic without a proper team forming, and then you just vote, right? All of these things placed into the slowest possible environment for them to be in, right? So the slowest possible talking, all this stuff, just like as little as possible. Yeah, I mean, it does successfully pull off that concept, and it is vaguely interesting. There's a good amount of audio processing work that is realistically needed to actually make these voices function, because they're very quiet and they're very breathy, right? They're very windy voices, and the way that they work, but there's a solid amount of variety to them, and it would be interesting to see a conversation play out between some of these characters. Yeah, overall, there is not a lot to say. There is not a lot to say. The characters are, what even are they? I mean, they say their names. There's Glass of Water, there's Mirror, there's Tutu, of course has a deep voice because haha. Toilet Paper, there's a 2x4, like, wooden plank. There's a Novel that has mismatched eyes. There's, like, just a bread, I think, is that what you're called? And then there's a softball, and there we go. Then there's 2 teams. The challenge is to tell them what episode it is. It is episode 1. And Tutu successfully manages it, which means that the other team is up for elimination. Who's going to get out? I feel like the least interesting out of those characters is probably Bread, but I don't really know. I mean, we'll need to see who gets the hammer from it. But overall, I mean, I get the gimmick, but now I'll be interested heading into the future episodes. What are you gonna do with it? Well, let's find out. Run 2. Alright, a while ago, watch episode 2 of Object Thimble. Yeah, I mean, so far we're still following the prompt, right? They were still following the gimmick because there's nothing, you know, like, we're doing the same thing, but for the classic episode 2, right? So, kind of speedrun vote review. Brett gets eliminated. We'll be like, what happens to me? You get erased. Then we kind of it just pops out without the real implications of what that means ever being really properly displayed. All of that stuff, in the same aspect. The thing I was debating the entire time I was watching the episode. I was like, hold on, is this song slowed down? I cannot tell. I think it is, right? Like, it's that song from something. Is that a Minecraft? Now that I think about it, what is that song from? I don't even know. I've heard it from Object. I think it's a Minecraft song, right? And it's like, that's definitely playing at like 75% speed. It's like fast enough to where it kind of feels like the song, but it's slow enough to where it definitely feels too slow, right? Which is, in a way, definitely synonymous with the series, because the series is doing that, right? It feels too slow, but at the same time, it's doing all the beats in a quick manner. I mean, this is a 1.5 minute long episode, and I'm calling it the slowest thing of all time. Like, it's not that slow, right? But yeah, everything else is the same as the main deal, right? So yeah, still no idea why it's called Run. The challenge is to count the sheeps. There are 3 sheeps. So toilet paper successfully managed to identify that. Good job. I bet it's up for elimination. Who's getting out? I mean, Tutu did win the challenge for the other team last time, and I feel like they're one of the more notable members. And in this type of object fooligan show, notability is bad. You don't want to be notable because that makes you one of the only options somebody will think of when they're trying to vote. So, yeah. Episode 3 is entitled Run 3. Go. Alright, hold on. Things are happening. Things are occurring. Alright, gimmick might be getting broken. Dude, that light bulb scared the shit out of me. It was so smoothly animated as well, So the main thing that happens is a light bulb falls from the sky. There's a little darkening in the distance. It's very Truman Show-esque type trope, right? It's like the Truman Show, with the light falling down as the world is just kind of progressing on naturally. That's kind of interesting. We'll see what it is. And it implies that they're in a room, of course, that they're not in the outside world, that they're in some type of location, because there had to be a light bulb to properly screw in the lighting, which means that they don't just live in a void. There's lighting to the void, right? So that's kind of interesting. Of course, that says a couple of things about the world. Softball got eliminated with 5 votes. This doesn't really matter, but yes, softball did get eliminated. Why? I don't really know. I mean, they were not notable. They did not have any lines, but neither did a glass of water. My prediction on notability is bad. I guess was not correct. So, alright, fair enough. I will not go under that thinking process anymore. The challenge is to put your arms up and dance. Mirror proceeds to put their arms up and not really dance, but Mirror still wins. So I guess our standards for dancing are very low. Maybe we need to have telepathically dance. We gotta close our eyes and go like dancing. This is the second time in this catch-up episode I've done a telepathy gag. Who's getting eliminated? 2x4 toilet paper novel. I think it's gonna be a 2x4. 2x4 was kind of an interesting little character, and the first 2 episodes got no votes, but I think now it's time to go. Let's see. Well, the next episode is the only episode that does not have Run as its title. It's entitled Blackout. Let's go. Blackout episode, and okay, I see. So things are happening. So I mean, this episode, there's not a lot to actually see. Basically, somebody comes in with a ladder, proceeds to climb up, or who stays perfectly still, proceeds to climb up and swap out a light bulb very slowly. The camera slowly panning in, doing that classic, I forgot what the cinematographical term for it is, but when it's slowly zooming in, so you don't notice it, but eventually the light bulb gets screwed in, and you can turn the lights back on. The lights go back on, lamp goes back down. Lamp is animated in a different style than our host is, so not everything follows the Thimble art style. They get a little tap on the back, and then our lamp fella proceeds to dip off. The host remains perfectly still, does not move an inch. So That is the events of this episode. I mean, my presumption here for what's happening is that therefore this is like an entirely acted thing, right? What I'm presuming is that this is a show in a show. Right, yeah, like this is and in a way that kind of explains how the characters barely have any animation frames going through them because they're not real. These are cardboard cutouts, right? So like that's kind of interesting. We have possibly like a cardboard cutout, like kind of show going on that's taking place in a studio setting. So the lights are on. That's why, for example, when the light bulb breaks, there's still a light, but every light gets turned off to cause a blackout because that way we need to screw the light back in, and that's a problem if the lights are on. They need to turn every light off for you to be able to screw the light bulb in and have the light off, right, and turn the light back on, and then we get to do it. OIAFOTOTIAFTINDBTOIAINDITSW was entirely unreactive, and the way that these people speak, right, the way that the people are speaking on set, quote unquote, is directly different to the way that people are speaking on Thimble, right? They don't speak in the slow ASMR. They're speaking normal. Be like, hey, you can turn the lights on, right? Like all this stuff's there. So, like, yeah, that's what this is. Surely, this is an this is a properly scripted little like series in a universe with other objects in it, because it uses a different art style than the humans of the world, and it the objects of the world, and it's on a set with a non-moving assets. This is cool. I enjoy this. I like this. But, we've seen the twist. So what's next? I don't know. Well, after the blackout, we had ourselves a big gap. I mean, a very big gap. When even was the gap? The gap was like 9 months. But we decided to take another stab at it. Run 4. Okay, that is episode 4. Episode 5, whatever. There is nothing interesting in the contents of this episode itself, but I'm trying to find out, I was rattling screws in my brain, right? Screws, and I was like, okay, what could be the twist? What could be twist 2? Right? Like, what would be the next idea? I'm kind of thinking that, if this is a show from within a society, right, and there wouldn't be any reason for the character to speak as slowly as it is, and it feels like throughout this episode, maybe this could be a placebo, but the character is getting mildly weaker voice, right? Like they're getting slower, more out of breath even within. So this could be, if I'm correct, I am celebrating. My prediction for what this is this is a show that is being hosted by like a 100-year-old object, maybe as part of like a little retirement home idea. Right, and that's like what they did. Maybe they were originally there, and I was like, I was show like back in my day, right? And that's the idea, that they host the show like how they did. Maybe they watched Object Thimble back in like the 1800s, and now they're trying to replicate it. I was 100 years old, and they're slowly passing away. That's my prediction. If this is correct, I am a lottery winner. But they're not. There's no way, right? Okay, that's my random ass prediction. Let's see the latest episode, which is entitled Run 5. Well, okay, fair enough. I guess I was not considering the option that you can do Twist 1 Extreme Edition Mega Dorito Special. I did not think of that. Fair enough. Okay, I mean, technically what I was saying does not have isn't 100% chance of being wrong. You know, like not 100%, because the person voicing Thimble, right, which is very clearly different to the person. Like, this is now knowledge, right? Because Thimble was speaking at the same time as the fellow was running in with the fire extinguisher and everything, right? Which means that we really know that whoever the hell is saying the lines, right, with that level of slowness and grindiness, is not that fella. It's not the lampshade, okay? You hear the lampshade from far away say, oh shit, and even at the end they do a little scream. The post-credit, right? So, like, that's that. Okay, so that means that there is a different person. Whoever is doing the Thimble line, it is a different person. So you know what? I'm sticking to my guns. That is a 100-year-old man. My prediction, that guy is the oldest living man on Earth, and they're giving him an object show. I'm telling you, this is the prediction. I'm sticking to my guns. But anyways, I mean, this is cool. It's a cool, it's a cool little concept, right? Like, I found it very, like, when I saw the light bulb fall, when I saw the blackout episode, like, I thought it was really cool. I mean, it's very interesting to see the ultimate variant of it. My realistic prediction what's gonna happen is, I mean, we're probably gonna see the next episode with, like, a fixed scenario, but something different, right? Like, we're gonna see, like, a completely, like, burnt version of Tutu in the episode or something, right? And then it'll just continue on as normal, right? Like, I don't think my 100-year prediction is actually true, but my realistic predictions that will probably just pretend as if everything's normal, but it's gonna take the next episode with, like, burnt out character portraits, right? Character assets, because it's like, well, this is what we got to work with, or whatever, right? That type of deal. But I mean, they really gotta fix up their set, bro. I mean, like, come on, even Truman Show did it better. What the hell y'all doing? Come on, bro. What the hell is that? But overall, yeah, I mean, it's a cool little idea. Who's getting eliminated? By the way, I didn't even talk about last episode. The eliminated because here was a glass of water, which I think I would have predicted. But 2x4 and toilet paper after Tutu blinks, quote unquote. I mean, they technically didn't blink, but look, we're presuming that they closed their eyes for the sake of having a set fall onto them. But yeah, by the way, it's smooth animation on the fall and everything, and the fire extinguisher. Like, the actual animation itself is cool. When the, like, regular objects drop by in town. Who's getting eliminated? It's gotta be a 2x4. I know, last time I said it was gonna be a 2x4, and 2x4 yet again got the least votes. It's gotta be a 2x4. I feel like we got the gimmick, right? We got the joke. It's a character that's not just named Wood. I get it. I get why this is the go. But, like, we gotta think about it. They haven't done anything. Come on, the audience, you gotta collaborate with me here, right? 2x4 is 8, okay, and 8 is the amount of episodes we want this series to get to. But if a 2x4 remains, then we won't get there, because by the time there's a few people left, the 2x4 will still have never done anything, so they will never win a challenge, so they'll never do. This is the best logic of all time, and I did not totally just spit the most random sequence of words that any human has ever said. Alright, anyways, that's Object Thimble. What I think of Object Thimble? I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty cool. I like the gimmick, right? I find it's like it's playing a gimmick on a gimmick now, right? Because it does a gimmick with a twist, but now that it's done the twist, it has to do the gimmick of the twist. But then I still think it should do a second twist, right? Like, I really do think that it should do a second twist, right? Because I get it now. Right? Like, I get it. I got the twist that makes it beyond just its gimmick. But now that we've continued it beyond the blackout, it has kind of, I think, a duty to try to reinvent itself beyond just, okay, sure, I get it. The set's falling. I mean, we can take this to different degrees, right? Like, there are creative ideas. Like, for example, first thing off the top of my mind, right? Well, my prediction was that they're just going to use the burn assets. There's also the possibility of, it's like, if the set is destroyed, what if they're recording it out of set? right? Like that could be fun, right? Because that way maybe like there's just Thimble with a completely different asset in like the middle of a park, and then there's just people in the back doing whatever the hell they're doing, and then we're just hosting a Thimble at like a park, and there's nothing else. And maybe a dog comes up and bites the contestant or whatever, right? Like something like that. You know, like there's ideas where you could take because the set's destroyed, right? Something like that, you know. Could be kind of interesting, could be kind of entertaining. Like there's ideas that you could take it, but like I think it has a duty to try it. You know, it has a duty to do something. It needs to come in with a different gag, I think. Because I think that just them being burnt in the next episode, it's gonna be a bit predictable. So I hope that it tries. You know, I hope that it tries to reinvent a little bit. All right, let's see what it's gonna do. Anyways. Object Thimble was pretty cool. It's time for the next thing. That's hopefully going to be pretty cool. Alright, I think it's now time to check up on how the Yourboitayy channel has been going, because ever since the last time, ever since hiatus, there have been some new episodes of Battle for Powers, which is a series that we've talked about a hell of a lot on this channel. It's one of those just kind of constantly around the series, it's constantly lingering, you know, there's always a new Battle for Powers episode. And yeah, what was the last episode? Last episode, we were in a pyramid, alright? And we ended up adventuring through the pyramid in a billion different splits. The host, I think, changed again, right? It was Potion. And then we ended, some people found gold, some people did some things, some people were trying to steal it, some people, things were happening, alright? And overall, eventually, I think, Blue Joy-Con won? or something. Look, I'm not 100% reminded. It's been a couple of months, but, I feel like by watching the 2 new episodes of Battle for Powers, we can get ourselves into the mixer again, right? Alright. Episode 19 is entitled The Walking Dead. Alright, that is episode 19 of Battle for Powers, The Walking Dead. Now, what do we have here? We have ourselves, an episode. I think this was also one of those episodes which I think I was gonna cover, like, pretty near to when I did hiatus. Like, it was kind of, I think it had released, right? It was in that range. Like, it either had released or it was about to release. But either way, yeah, it's in that range of kind of month-old episode that I gotta get to. So, of course, we are getting to it now. Battle for Powers is one of those shows that I have spent a long time kind of criticizing. Right, like I have spent a lot of time in these catch-up segments kind of trying to solve some of the general issues that it may have, and I feel like I don't need to do all that, right? Like, on average, I think that we have definitively improved from the Battle for Powers that was, right? The Battle for Powers that was a couple episodes ago, and, you know, it generally improved in the vibe, right? Like, the characters are a little bit more expressive. That was one of the, because that was like the main thing, right? That was the main historic thing that I kept calling back to. The characters sound like they're the same person, right? And yeah, that was one of my main critiques, because like it doesn't feel much like an Object show because the characters don't act in any different way, and they're all spoken in the same voice. This is getting, I think, mildly changed, right? You can see characters be a little bit more like, I think the characters are a little bit more differing of opinions without just doing so for contrarian reasons, right? Except for, I mean, some characters like Nintendo Switch, they're just contrarians to be contrarians. But, like, the other characters are also being a bit more seriously disagreement of ideas for the reason that their character is, right, for proper personality style reasons, which I think is an improvement. The voices are mildly tweaked. Again, you can't change it too much nowadays, right? Because, you know, we're in 19 episodes into a show. There's still like 80% of the cast, but, you know, we're 19 episodes into a show. Which means that, you know, we're pretty deep in the mixer here. So, you know, that complicates things a little bit. We begin here with White Controller, who is a little bit worried because they have this feeling of being watched. Now, this is, I think, something to do with what are the couple episodes ago. Now, again, you're gonna need to give me a minute here. I have not watched the prior Battle for Powers episodes in a long time. I mean, when the hell was my original Battle for Powers episode? It was a while ago. And this therefore complicates them. I think it was back when Ep.122. That was a while ago, bro. Right? Wasn't that not the episode? Was it not Ep.120 plus the Battle for Powers? Like, that was like the combo for the episode. I think that was what that was. Low key, I think that's what that was. So that's kind of crazy, you know. That's wild. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, in one of the episodes, right, there was kind of like a rumbling around a bush, right? It's not like we heard something and there was like, maybe somebody there, but and everybody just ended up being like, okay, I guess there's nothing there. But White Controller's still feeling it, so all right, we get and watch. Someone might be coming in, you know. Realistically speaking, what worry White Controller's probably having is about the random ass new contestant that's about to show up from nowhere, which this show does actually do as a gag in this episode, which is kind of interesting. Now maybe I guess mild critique. You can't invert the controller asset because then A is on the left, and that doesn't work. That's not how that works, you know. But anyways, beyond that, we end up having ourselves the White Controller asking around, trying to find out what's going on, and then the potion ends up being like, "Yo, you know that pyramid? That wasn't a pyramid. That was a temple. That's not how that goes." But I don't know. I think did Potion make that temple? I think Potion made that temple with Catchup. Anyway, Sonic design change. So that's not a Sonic track. What is the Sonic design change? New character name Boot. It just turns into a boot. Okay, into the Sonic boot. I mean, like, there were better character options there were better options to represent Sonic as an object than boot. Like, you could have done a standee, like an amiibo, like a plush, right? Like a cardboard cutout. You know, like something along those lines, right? Like some, like, you know, yeah, you could have done so, because, like, you know, something to keep the Sonic name make its ass. It's kind of the thing I'm worried about, right? Like, the Sonic name doesn't really make a lot of sense if you're just a boot. Like, I get it, you're Sonic's boot, but, like, that's a little bit awkward. But alright, sure, we'll play along with the rules, okay? We'll go with it. But anyways, they get back. In the meantime, we end up having some character development. White Controller and Nintendo Switch talk it out. Whoo! Let's go. But hey, you know, now I think about it, is that like, oh no, like that's just permanent. Like the blue controller. Like, I never noticed that. Wait, like that's just how it is. Like that's just okay, that's what? Okay. I don't know. But anyways. What were we saying? Oh yeah. So they end up apparently being mean and be like, yo, why you mean to me? Because you this my spray. But I know TV this your spray. But yeah, but you were with TV. And they're like, okay, fine. Well, let's be friends then again. And then Nintendo was like, no, you gotta buy my spray. And they're like, okay, fine, I'll buy your spray. And then they proceed to buy the spray. And that was pretty cool. Potion proceeds to what does Potion do? Oh yeah, Potion proceeds to dip away, to dip by all the eliminated contestants because they're not allowed. They're not allowed to be around. Yeah, they were just kind of rummaging around. There was not much they could really do about it. But anyway, then we end up having the elimination where our contestants ends up having a little discussion because of course the contestant vote now about what to do. Now, to be honest, do I remember what exactly was going on? No, really. I don't remember what's going on in the last challenge because it's very difficult to remember. They split off into 4 paths in the maze. And then, one of them was correct and the others weren't. And then somebody came in and left. And Blue Joy-Con was really fast. And then they stayed out. I don't know. There was a couple of things going on. But despite the fact I don't remember, I do appreciate the moment. The moment itself is very good that it's there. Right? Personally, it's absolutely a personal thing. I don't think everybody likes this, but I am absolutely a big fan of hearing strategical talk in an object show. Absolutely. Beyond anything else. When I hear strategical talk in an object show, that makes the character feel so much more involved. That gets the character to feel like they're in the game. Right? They're thinking about it. They're not just kind of stumbling. Right? Like that. And hearing contestant votes, actually the logic behind contested votes, it's so good. It's so good. And no show does it. None of them. No show. Even the big boys. The big boys don't do it. The big boy with contested vote barely even do it. And it's come on, bro. It's goated. They don't do it for the mystery. But it's so good. It's so good when you know. It's whatever. I'm not switching the conversation to other unrelated things by now. But anyways, we are not covering this episode fast enough. Lava Box appears, new character. No, they don't join the show. Sonic prevents them. What the hell is a Lava Box? I have no idea. But apparently they got met in episode 6 at the store. That's fair enough. But either way, they're apparently there and they want to join the show, but it doesn't work. But apparently they're there because they're escaping from a super calamity zombie invasion, which is apparently somebody else's show. But apparently there's a lot of zombies and the zombies are not looking good. Sonic gets bit and proceeds to turn into evil variant, into evil freaking just goop variant, Seek from Doors variant. And that's all happening. And then there's a lot of zombies. The zombie invasion is arriving, and they're trying to escape the zombie invasion. Now they do a couple of tactics at this. It's all right. They're kind of just debating who goes a lot of the time. The pacing of these episodes. I always think that there's I think that one additional fluff removal through of some Battle for Powers episodes would probably be useful still, because it's majority, a lot of the pacing of this episode is just comprised of characters sitting there at a hideout and being I'm gonna go, no, you're not gonna go, I'm gonna go, no, you should go, wait, I shouldn't go, you should go, wait, but what if he goes? And it's okay, got it, I get it, one of you wants to go. Alright, and then they proceed to agree with it, or being hella confused. Then the battery proceeds to head them over to the secret lab, which exists. In the meantime, we end up having some fellas. The fella wants to go, but the white controllers don't want to go because they don't have arms. Then Nintendo Switch doesn't want to go. What is happening here? Hold on, give me a minute. So they're trying to go out there, but they're green. Bowling Ball wants to go. Blue Joy-Con wants to go recover Potion because maybe Potion can recover somebody if they recover Potion. But then they decide to bring out Fortnite to try to recover Potion, right? I think that's what they do. Does that make sense? So they get Fortnite. Fortnite does have the power of recovery because Fortnite, remember, has teleportation power. You just gotta say Fortnite sucks, and there you go. So that's pretty cool. And we end up having Potion coming back. Now Potion proceeds to not really have much that they can do in the meantime. Serial and Remote proceed to jump off a cliff into nothing. By the way, the environment looks mildly different. I swear it was not this green. Right? It was significantly more standard. I mean, I guess it is nighttime, so that kind of changes the lighting. But, like, what do you mean it changes? It makes it brighter? How did the brighting get lighter at night? Hold on a minute. But anyways, Dirt Block proceeds to stab some of the zombies because they have a Neverite sword, because of course they do. Then we end up having some other support. Apparently, Xbox Collector was the first one, so that's why the other ones are named after names, and they're named Xbox. There we go. They also get Neverite swords to do some stuff. Dirt Block has infinite amount of Neverite swords. In the meantime, the fellas over in the basement discovered that. How do you do this? Basically, you need a stick, and then you need to throw up on the stick. Because that if a zombie eats a stick with throw up on it, with vomit on it, they will turn back to normal. Because that makes sense. We are going to pretend like that makes any sense. I don't know what that even means. Why does that work? Why does it need to be on a stick? You know, like, why does it need to be on it? Couldn't it just be anything? Couldn't it be like a liquid? Or can you make a smoothie? I don't know. Like, if you need to ingest vomit. But hold on, wait a minute. You need to ingest vomit. Vomit isn't all the same. Right? Like, vomit all the same. Depending on what you ate, it's going to be different. But we're not talking about this, okay? This is a weird discussion to be having. But anyways, everybody proceeds to eventually get done it because that doesn't end up actually being too difficult because everybody just happens to be an elite team theme kicker. There's a World Cup in 1 week. We gotta hire the Battle for Powers team because like they can kick these throw-up sticks straight into the mouths of the zombies, no problem. Even Sonic, who's running pretty fast, proceeds to get the stick going and be like, no, you turned evil. I love the line of them being like, God damn it, EXE. I love the line of Sonic being like, no, it was EXE again. God damn it. Because he thinks it's Sonic on EXE, but it was actually just zombified. Even though, by the way, if Sonic got zombified, why didn't they turn green? Should they not have turned green? I think they should have turned green, right? But, alright then, sure. Anyways, nobody is up for elimination. God damn it. God. This show will never end. This show is not real. This show is fake. Apparently, okay, look, well, let's sit out, alright? Let's sit out. This is the Infinite Object Show. Remember rename it? The Battle for Powers, except that we don't want to give the powers away, so we just hold on. It's like Teapot if 2 was just like, well, I like my powers, and then they proceed to just make a debut every episode so the show doesn't end. Like, come on. But anyways, look, let's sit this one out. Apparently, Sonic said that that next episode there will be changes. Alright, will be changes, so we need to see. We can vote, by the way, for the prize. Who's getting the prize? I have no idea. Who do the people like? I think they like Sticker, right? Sticker's one of those kind of like half mean characters that are ever kind of like liked, right? They're mean, but they're enjoyed for their mean status, right? It sets them out from the average crowd. Although Battery was very mean this episode. I don't know. I mean, like majority of people were zombies in this episode. It's kind of difficult to really say, but we're gonna go with let's say Sticker. Let's say Sticker. I don't really know. Okay, episode 20 of Battle for Powers is up next. Episode 20 of Battle for Powers is entitled, Pixelated Problems. Released 1 month ago. Here we go. Alright, that is the 20th episode of Battle for Powers, Pixelated Problems. Do we have the contestant count go down in this episode? The answer is no. We still don't, because for some reason the show ends with a voting screen, even though there's no voting, right? Like as a contestant vote, which is definitely a critique, by the way, that I would like to say about it. That like one of the big positives about making a contestant vote is that you have a very clear pathway towards a good episode end, right? Like an elimination is a climactic, important moment where things in the game change, right? And putting that at the end of an episode is cool because, you know, that settles it properly, right? And I think it makes more sense, right? Take advantage of the opportunity to put the eliminations at the end of an episode, rather than, especially because, you know, they're going to be more focused on what happened during the challenge than a viewer vote, right? So I would absolutely say that, in my opinion, the elimination should be at the end and not at the beginning of episodes. But either way, 60 characters left still. Again, I think we're booked for 37 episodes as of right now. But either way, we end up having ourselves some pretty interesting changes take place here during this episode. But before we actually get to the changes, we start off here with the PS4, I think, is just collecting information about what people would do with the prize, and then it's trying to be like, okay, who should we allow the prize? Which is a smart play, actually. That's a pretty smart play. Who would take the powers for good and who would take the powers for bad? We should base our eliminations based on it, so that way, you know, it is pretty, that way, even if we don't win, right, we can eliminate people that will do bad, so that the most good will happen to us as a result of winning, which is a good idea. The only complication with that idea from PS4 here is that, from the PS4 box, whatever it's called, is that, like, you can't just say it's who should win, serial no. Like, you need to get people to agree with you. You know, like, you need to get people to look at that and go like, sure, alright then, you can do that, right? And follow the plan. But it's going to be a bit complicated because, like, out of that list, 4 people are listed as no, 3 are listed as yes, and 1 is listed as maybe. Which, you see how that's kind of confusing? Because, like, that means that majority of the people should not win the prize, according to you. Which means that majority of people are not going to be on your side, and therefore majority of people are not going to follow the plan. You want to get as many people on your side as possible, and just try to kind of, like, baseline from there, right? Basically, I'm thinking that, like, you should try to get you should try to get as many people on your side as possible, and then go from worst on out, right? Like, if the worst one, like, you can't just say no to a lot of people, because then a lot of people say no to you. You have to get everybody on your side, and then attack one at a time, right? I think that makes more sense, but anyway, I don't know what PS4 Lite is doing, but we proceed to have the challenge be, well, first of all, new teams. Temporary new teams have dropped right now for the show, picked by our host Boot, and we proceed. Sorry, I was like, I'm gonna be behind the scenes. I'm not gonna lie, I was eating like chips or watching the episode. Now the fucking dust, something's still on my throat. But anyways, we have Team Orange, which is comprised of Bouncy Ball, Sticker, Red, Joy-Con, and Xbox Collector. This team is fine. There's Sticker on it, which is, of course, you know, that kind of evil, I want to be evil character. That's a contrarian to all of the good ideas in the world. However, they're not a very forceful character, right? Like, Sticker will go like somebody will go, hey, we should save the world. Sticker will go, no. But like that, but like Sticker won't act on it, right? Sticker won't try to like force you. Like, they'll just say no, very loudly. They'll just be very obnoxious to you. So this team should be fine. Red Joy-Con is there. By the way, Red Joy-Con. What happened to Red Joy-Con? Is this me, or is the Red Joy-Con voice actor different? Because I was looking at it, and I was like, wait a minute. I was looking at the credits, and there wasn't a different credit for, and it wasn't a credited voice actor for Red Joy-Con. I was like, Red Joy-Con's actually different. Like, there is no way. That microphone is different. Absolutely. Because you hear a different amount of wind on the microphone when Red Joy-Con and TNT as well are talking than... So there's there's no way, right? Surely there's a different voice actor for those two. And that's interesting, you know, adding some additional voice actors to the show. There's also some guest appearances, characters that are also that also do have some different voice actors. In terms of what I think about it, it's fine. You know, I do think that the voice actors diversify the show a little bit. However, regardless of whether it's you or anybody else, I'm saying you as in Tay, right? Regardless of whether it's the creator of the show or anybody else, I do definitely say that there's a degree of criticism that applies across the board. Right, because, like, in the same way that I criticize a lot of the characters for speaking in the same tonality, right, like, a lot of the characters in the show historically speak very monotone way of speaking, right, like, how many times have we heard a character in the show raise their voice? This has nearly never happened. A character has never spoken like this, you know, and the same applies to any additional VA, right? Like that, like the way Red Joy-Con speaks is the same way every time, right? It's kind of weird. You know, it's kind of weird. It takes you out of it a little bit because you're like, no person would speak like this all of the time, right? But, oh well. Anyways, that's Team Orange. Then we have Team Fruity, named by Nintendo Switch after Fruity Pebbles, being, of course, the cereal, because they are apparently a fruity boy. You can do with that as you will. But yeah, that's a very Nintendo Switch thing to say. They are joined as well by Blue Controller and TNT. This team is okay. They have a lot of, there's a lot of personality in this team, right? There's a lot of kind of rude personalities. With Cereal and Nintendo Switch, and I think with Blue Controller as well, who's relatively known to be mean, right? So there's a lot of kind of clashing personality. I don't think this team could get much done, to be honest. I don't think this team would get much done here, to be honest. Like, I would be I would be worried if I was this team. Like, I would be worried because, like, not a lot of stuff's getting done unless Nintendo Switch or Cereal. Like, not a lot can get. It's either everything's getting done or nothing's getting done. Because, like, if I'm looking at this team, and it's like, okay, yeah, but either Switch randomly goes off and does a challenge on their own, then maybe. But anyways, we have Energy, which apparently is not NRG, even though that's the easiest acronym in the book. It's NFG, or it's NF9? Is that a G? That's not is that a G? Is that a 9? Yo, what is that? Is that no? I think that's supposed to be a G, but that's definitely a 9. But anyways, that is Dirt Block, Blue Joy-Con, Xbox, and Battery. I feel like this team's more cohesive than the other ones. I think this team should be doing alright. Average. I mean, like, Battery is mean, but is willing to listen. Like, I think this team's more power friendship core. So I think they're pretty solid. And there's Team 6. This team comprised of of the YS controller, Sasha, the PS4 collector fella, and the bowling ball. This team is okay. This team is kind of in the middle of the pack. They're gonna do a plan. They don't have a lot of like necessarily mega powerful physical capabilities, right? Because like bowling ball is very physically strong. They're also very mentally dumb to compensate. so like in terms of general ability, this seems very average, right? Because like Sasha and the PS4, they don't really have got a lot going on with them. So yeah. Anyways, we then proceed to start off our challenge, and everybody is officially sent to Pixel Land. Yes, Pixel. The world turns into pixels somehow, and you know, they have to save the princess in the 2D platformer game because Roblox has just been kidnapped. So they need to proceed to do that, which is interesting. Now, yeah. Now, yeah, what do you think of this? Well, the style is cool. It's a little bit pixelated. I am gonna say mildly disappointed that not every detail is pixelated, cause like there's some things, right, like the circles or something in like the controllers, right, the letters that remain non-pixelated. I think we could have gone all in, right? But like in general, I do like the styling. I think it's cool, and for certain characters, it works very nicely. For others, I think doesn't complement it too much, but overall I think it's relatively good. Yeah, in terms of the premise of the challenge as well, that's pretty solid. That's pretty alright. I kind of enjoy, saving a fellow contestant, which some fellas seem to know a lot about and some don't. So, yeah, because Roblox is apparently, what's the relationship stat? Roblox is what are they? They're like the girlfriend of Xbox logo, right? I think that's what happens. So that's kind of that. So that's kind of interesting. So then they proceed to do that. With various things. By the way, the red Joy-Con, who's again sounds like they've been lobotomized from the way they speak in this episode, but like suggesting doing a mating call for Roblox, bro. What are we doing out here? But yeah, they proceed to do it now. While they proceed to go through various directions, of course, in the world to try to properly take down. First of all, I would like to point out this is a kind of a very similar situation to episode 18, right? Like, this is a similar style script. Like, we put in a different scenario, but at the end of the day, what happens is the same, right? A greater amount of teams than originally there split off into various different sections to try to look for a thing they don't know where, right? And then whoever finds will just kind of find. It's not gonna necessarily be much of a skill-based maneuver, right? That is kind of similar, which, arrives with its same upsides, right? It arrives with the upsides of it's cool, because, you get to see a lot of environment, a lot of the world, it feels like a lot is happening and every character is there doing something at all times, right? So it never feels like a character just paused in time. So that's why it has to be good. And when it comes to the negatives of it, hard to keep track of it, right? Like, it's hard to keep track of it. There's no UI going on the screen to kind of inform us where people are, where they're supposed to be looking. Like we don't know where Roblox is either. So our character could be anywhere. Same thing goes with the pyramid. I would personally recommend UI elements, right? Because it's kind of useful. Like, where are we? Can we have a map? Like, the characters have a map, but that's the most useless map. Yeah, like, some characters find a map and sail over the seas or whatever to go find something. And it's like, wait, but like, that is the most useless map of all time. Like, they say, and I quote, "We should not be in the water. We should go over to the grass area because there's more grass and they'll be more likely to be there." What? What logic? You are more likely to be on land than on water. Holy shit. But yeah, I don't know. Then the character proceeds to do this. Another main thing that the characters have got going on is some characters get stuck in a forest. They get stuck in a cave. Like, there's a lot of different environments. That is cool. I like the environment. I would personally, want there to be a little bit more information for the viewer. That's kind of the main thing with these challenges. Right? It's the same that I say about challenge 18. Give a little bit more information for the viewer. Like, if we knew where Roblox is, we could directly, I feel like it'd be interesting because we could see, like, the pathway of people if they're heading closer or away, right? Which I feel like is something that you could have done, right? Like, it could have been kind of interesting, have a cutaway to Roblox in the jail eating a sandwich or something, and that could have been like a funny little timing gag, right? Like you could do stuff with that. But yeah. Another thing that happens is that apparently as part of the video game, everybody has powers. Everybody proceeds to earn powers, which is of course ironic considering the name of the show. But everybody gains various powers depending on what they're doing. Which some are strength, some can have boomerang powers, which is interesting. Some have like double jump, some are strength, some are like. I don't even. There's a lot of little powers. Okay, some have more health. Some have more things. We end up freaking kidnapping a pirate to bring them over the seas. Then they end up going over into a castle. They have to break in. Bouncy Ball manages to break in. Again, there's a bit less to comment on these challenges because they're more purely kind of action based. All right. So that's kind of fair. Then the team keeps debating how mean they are. Nintendo Switch team, they're very mean. then the team stuck in the cave be like, yo, what if we died? That would be a pretty smart idea because we're kind of stuck in a cave. Then we end up having again we hijack the pirate to let them sail over the seas. Then yet again the Switch team is not even doing anything. They are literally just sitting there arguing about who's the meanest, which is a great team dynamics right there. Then Blue Joy-Con made it to the end of the cave. Then they proceed to drop down as well. As, by the way, apparently Xbox logo gets upset at Battery. Then Battery, whose power is to electrocute enemies, proceeds to zap them. And they absorb the zap and turn their logo yellow so that they brighten up. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess the mild critique with the power system is that it's kind of, it's implemented, a little bit on a whim, right? Like, some characters are super useful, some characters are just kind of relevant. Some characters, I don't think every character gets to show it off. I don't think every character gets to try it. And it's not really, like, a relevant part of the challenge. I think it maybe could have been a little bit more officialized, right? Like, that could have been cool, a little bit, like, of a more, like, official look at it. But either way, whatever. It's overall fine. They end up dropping down, and apparently down in the underground of the cave was where the fellas were. Anyways, so they proceed to have an epic battle with Stickman. However, apparently they have a flamethrower, and Red Joy-Con, despite being lobotomized, manages to successfully do it, and they find Roblox. Good job, Red Joy-Con. You are very good. They end up picking 6 because they don't have any of the Alliance people of their former team on it. So despite the fact that it included some of Xbox Collector's siblings, we still only one of the siblings can win, so might as well allow one to be eliminated. White Controller and Bowling Ball both use their immunity tickets at the same time, which forces either PlayStation and Shasha to be up for elimination. Who's gonna get eliminated? Who knows? But we don't know. Lava Boss proceeds to get stolen away into the bushes in the post-credit scene, and that is about it. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, overall, I enjoyed that episode. I think that's a pretty solid, that's a pretty solid episode. I like the style, I like the vibe. It could have, again, I think it is a bit similar to episode 18 in the way that it's kind of written, right? The style. So I would maybe have separated the episodes a little bit, maybe tweaked a bit how the challenge works, right? I would have made a couple elements more integral. I would have kind of maybe switched up the pace. Like, I don't know, maybe like it's hard to kind of judge with this show because like. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's missing like it's too metronomal in a way, Like that's kind of the thing with the pacing of the show, right? The characters are kind of similar in the way that they act, right? Like we've gotten absolutely better at doing that. But like I do totally think that like this show should utilize a little bit more of like a pacing switch. Right, like have like action and then chill, because like it feels like a very kind of standard experience to watch an episode of the show. By the way, someone's arrived home, so you might hear bags and stuff. But like it feels like a very standard experience because like there doesn't feel like there's faster or slower moments. It doesn't feel like there's a faster paced or a slower paced moment. It's all feeling kind of standard, like there's a very little pacing swap that happens in this episode, that not necessarily in this episode, in the show, right? And that's I think kind of maybe the thing that I would try to implement a little bit more, try to look at 2 different scenes and be like, how do I make this scene feel faster? How do I make this scene feel slower? Right? Try to maybe, I don't know, make the scene swap out a little bit. Like, I don't know, like just a little bit more. Like, it's very hard to explain, but like, it just kind of, it's because it's in the subconscious, right? The feeling of how fast it is, it's all in the subconscious, right? Which, makes it complicated to really judge out, but it just feels that way, right? And that's, I guess, my current way to say it. Anyways, time for the other series that for some reason exists that they has made, released 5 days ago, Battle for Gooner Island. Episode 1, currently the only episode released, is entitled Fight All the People Who Tell Me to Chill. Yeah, that was a thing that I just watched. Yeah, I mean, I have no comments on that. What's zero? Like, that's one of those shows that's just like, look, there is nothing that I can say because I am too far, like, into outside of the idea of this show. You know, like, look, how many people gonna recognize Clavicular? No idea who that is. Haskell? No idea who that is. Iron Mouse? Okay, I know Iron Mouse. I don't know much about Iron Mouse. I know Iron Mouse exists. I know the song from the Lost Media is an Iron Mouse Cry For Me cover. That was Silver Gunner. And I know Iron Mouse is like a streamer and is a VTuber and stuff. Okay, sure, know that. Joe Bartolozzi, I think this is also a streamer. I don't know what they have to do with this group of people. I don't think they sing. I don't think there's much special going on about him, but I don't know. I just don't know anything about Joe Bartolozzi. I watched like one video of Joe Bartolozzi ever. Lord Lent, no idea who that is. Punch Mededev, no idea who that is. Skeeter John, no idea who that is. Vexbot, no idea who that is. And then the host, no idea who that is. You see what I mean? Like, I'm out of my zone here. You know, I'm out of my zone here. And quite frankly, I'm too scared to try to learn. So we're just not going to do that. I think the challenge is to get to Mount Everest. It's surprisingly not that hard to do. Apparently, you can actually just drive up to Mount Everest. So, all right, then, okay, sure. Everybody proceeds to do that, except Iron Mouse, who does not find a lift. Some people just have a Lamborghini. Other people call up John Pork taxi service. So, fair enough. And then Iron Mouse proceeds to get zapped out of existence. So one of the two characters that I know are gone. So you know what? There's only one left. Joe Bartolozzi. It's me and you against the world. I'm gonna root for Joe Bartolozzi harder than I've ever rooted ever before. Joe Bartolozzi, we gonna get this win. Come on, let's go. We can do this. Let's go. Alright, I gassed myself up. Now I'm ready for episode 2 with Joe Bartolozzi. He's gonna drop kick all of the contestants and win. Let's go. Alright, I'm ready. Bring on episode 2 when it's ready. But for now, it's everything for the Yourboitayy shoes. And yeah, next thing. Alright, let's go over to the 78 Card Studios channel next, because, yet again, quite a while ago, 4 weeks ago, episode 5 of a joke show made by 78 Card, or AJSMB78C, released. Now, if I'm not mistaken, what was going on in this series? I think we stole, like, half the contestants, right? XY came by and stole a bunch of contestants. We were supposed to get them back, but not everybody, and then it was a little bit of a mess. We split the show, and then it was gonna split, and then it did it. It was a little bit of a mess, but specifically where we were last time we observed the show. Was an episode 4.5 where we basically got after the triangle, a black hole, but a triangle, whatever you call it, got teleported away into like an elimination box, and then suddenly after thinking of headphones, they start really badly wanting to leave. They want to leave very badly, and they need to try to do a thing. Will they be able to, of course, do this? I don't know. We will find out in episode 5. Episode 5 is entitled, wonderful question, TUOS 2. Go. Okay, that is AJSMB78C5, and you know what? I don't have a clue what just happened. I'm gonna be absolutely honest with you. I watched that, my mind is blank. What? Let me. Okay, we're gonna do this together, right? We'll see. Because like, am I missing something here? So, the events of this episode, we go back to the elimination of the black hole. Okay, remember the fabled elimination, episode 1, where Triangle Black Hole proceeds to get eliminated. Then they apparently spawn in. Not a box actually, so that's different from 4.5. But not a box. They spawn in some grassland. They proceed to say, "Where am I?" like 40 times. And then they find a triangle figure. Okay, different one. Their name's Spike. But they find Spike, okay, and they ask, "Can we find a way to get out of here?" And then some different screen fella, like Alarm, proceeds to go like, "I think we shouldn't trust them." And then Spike proceeds to tell them directly, "I don't trust you," as if that's gonna do anything. But they proceed to do that, and it'd be like, "Please, I need your help," and proceeds to get a little bit too close to the Alarm fella and sucks up the Alarm fella, and they die. So that's not a great maneuver. Now Spike has a real reason to not trust them, and now they feel very bad. So they proceed to I don't know. I don't know what proceeds to happen. We don't get to know. We just know that they did a murder, and then that's it. Did Spike ever tell them how they're supposed to get out? I don't think they did. Did they leave? Did they run away? I don't know. We don't know. It cuts off. Okay, cool. Then the next day, after the second elimination, Bowling Ball is there. They're eliminated, and then they'll be like, "Where am I?" This is a call me question. Triangle Black Hole proceeds to come back, and they'd be like, and they say, "What did they?" They say, "Eliminated, go here. However, if you need me, just call me. The people here don't like me," which is, I don't think that's written properly, but we'll pretend it is. And then they proceed to go like, "Okay, sure, but what is this place?" Nobody answers. And then new character appears. Fluff appears. They have a little conversation with Bowling Ball. While that is happening, by the way, on the technical element, the music is definitely a little bit too loud. The animators, there are various animators, and I do think majority of them are doing a pretty good job. However, there's absolutely no semblance of a styling guide, so the proportions are extremely different from animator to animator. The limb sizes are different from animator to animator. These are all things that you can definitely just tell them, be like, "Yo, use a brush size of blank," and like, don't do it. You know, like, you can do certain things to keep assets a little bit more consistent than this. But anyways, they proceed to do the greatest conversation of all the time. Be like, "Hello, who are you? I'm Fluff. I'm Bowling Ball. Do you want to be friends?" "Yes." Top 10 conversations. They proceed to walk around. Apparently, some friends are having a meetup. And they proceed to walk over to the meetup. Do we get to see the meetup? Nope. No, we don't. In the meantime, Triangle Black Hole decides that it's time to fly off the universe. We find out that the planet is just all green. There is not a semblance of water on this planet. It is just a green grassland planet. And they proceed, and apparently they seem to go up to the mysterious box in the sky planet that is there. And they seem to lock themselves in the box, like they put themselves in there, which is interesting, because how the hell did you struggle to leave if you put yourself in there? Sure, you could just go out, right? But alright. Then apparently Ultimate Object Show is happening with a red ball in the groundland. And then Triangle Black Hole proceeds to come back. The ball just disappears because whoever was animating that scene just for some reason did a ripple delete or something. I don't know. But it definitely, I don't think that's what happens, but it definitely makes it look like Triangle Black Hole sucked them up. But anyways, they go like, "What do you want?" Apparently something bad is going to happen. Whatever that means, no specifics, just something bad. No, something bad's about to happen. I don't know what to say. Then Bowling Ball be like, I don't care. I'm happy here. So you gotta figure it out on your own. So all right, they proceed to do that. Then a challenge is presumably happening with water bottle. I don't know. Then Black Hole is back in the box because something bad was going to happen, but they can't be bothered. And as they do that, they proceed to go over in the box, and they proceed to say the greatest quote of all time: "I have to save the universe." Yeah. In the meantime, Fluff and Bowling Ball were chilling over there in the competition. Then it's a new day, and Triangle Black Hole comes back in and decides to drag up Bowling Ball, which they had this much power. If they had this much power, why couldn't they just, I don't know, spit out the alarm guy that they murdered? But okay, then, all right. they proceeded to fly over Bowling Ball, be like, I don't want to do this, but it's like, I have to do this. And then they proceed to plonk it down on a different patch of grass than the previous one. And in fact, it didn't even matter because Fluff proceeded to dip anyways. And Bowling Ball proceeds to disappear. And then the voting results character proceeds to come in. I think, right, because they rejoined. So that's happening. And then we get to have a vote to rejoin, or whether Bowling Ball or the Triangle Black Hole rejoins. Then we have the post-credit scene where they're in the XY land and XY appears and they're crying. So, yeah, that's what I understood of the events of this episode. Now, I have just told you the events of this episode. Does that make sense to you? Because I don't really know what happened. That is very random. Yeah, things definitely did happen, but not with a great rhyme or reason. Why is there a giant box in the sky? That's the main thing that I'm like. What? I don't know. That's what? Huh? I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be fair. I don't know. But I will say though, to give props where props are due. I do like the component of having kind of those first two eliminated contestants have an episode entirely on how they have been doing, right, with like split screen coverage and then having to vote to rejoin. Like, I think the idea of this vote to rejoin is very cool. I like the idea of this vote to rejoin after having seen the information that we have seen. But I mean, absolutely, we got to improve on clarity. Try to get the animators a little bit more consistent between each other, because they're all fine, but they could be a little bit more linked to each other, because some are thin lines, some are thick lines. I don't know, just proofread the script a bit more. Try to improve clarity. Like, I don't know, show it to an animator, right? Like, you can do some of that. I don't know, show a script to an animator and go like, hello, I would like you to explain to me what you got off of this script, right? Because that way, you know, the person who reads it gets to proper comment on it, right? And goes like, okay, yo, I understood this, and this. And it's like, okay, is that what you were supposed to understand? Because, like, if you understood the wrong things from the script, then that means that you gotta rewrite the script so it becomes a little bit more clear what you're trying to say, right? That type of deal. Because right now, I don't really know what happened. I'm sorry. I kind of don't. Like, things happened, for sure. But, like, what did it even mean? Like, but like the fact that Triangle Black Hole needs to save the universe, like they're not doing that because of any telepathic communication. Like, nothing happened to them for them to get this realization. They just had an anxiety attack. They're literally just having a panic attack because they keep thinking, oh god, like they're just doing that because nothing has entered their mind. Nobody has told them anything. They're just thinking they have to save the universe because they're having a panic attack on saving the universe. You know, like what? But oh well, all right then. We'll see in the next episode, whatever the hell it is. And yeah, cool. Improve clarity, I guess, is my main tip. Next. Speaking of which, we should go over to the Crispy TV channel, yes, because also, over a month ago, the next season of TUOS happened, yes, TUOS, season 5, after, the interesting Horizon season that tried out some things, we, are now back to basics, as it's called. 2 episodes have released in the past month and a half, and of course we're going to watch them, starting off with the first, which is entitled Everything's Up in the Air. Let's go. Alright, that is episode 1 of TUOS, back to basics. The door is back open again, so you might hear more roads. Okay, that is interesting. Back to basics is the correct way to describe it. It is very, very much so factory settings object show. That's a lot of what TUOS is. TUOS has always been kind of like a charming, cute, but ultimately it is very factory settings object show, right? There's not a lot of unique stuff going on. It tried to branch out with Horizon, right, to give itself a plot. It kind of half committed. You know, I think it personally should have committed it a little bit more, but like, it did a decent amount of commitment, but still kept itself to a relatively simple story, which is all right. But yeah, here basically the premise is that Oil Bottle, I think is your name, right? Proceeds to be asked by everybody, be like, host an object show. Fine, alongside Pearl, which they are related with. Then they host the episode. The challenge is to climb up the hill, which Pearl proceeds to do the challenge because Oil Bottle doesn't seem to do great at hosting. That'll be interesting, I guess, to see as the series progresses. You know, will we turn more confident, maybe get more anxious? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how we evolve in terms of our hosting role as time goes by. We have a couple of new faces and a couple of returning faces. We have the mini balls. The mini balls are back. The best character of all time. the best characters of all time have had a vocal makeover, indeed. Yes, they also have names, so you don't remember them having before. Do I remember their name? No. I know that the guy is called Tango, I think, right? And the other two, what are they called? I don't think we say their names. They're in the credits, but I didn't catch them. But anyway, yes, both of the other ones are voiced by a new voice actor who does a pretty good job. There's also, there's a couple of other voice actors around, which is, of course, different than the original. In the past few TUOS seasons, which haven't done that, right? So that's a little bit of a development in a different category, right? Like, TUOS has been such a direct personal show that now having a little bit of a more I guess involvement from outside in terms of voice actors and stuff. It'll be interesting to see, right? Like, are we gonna actually try to integrate a team into TUOS? Possibly. I would personally not do that for majority of roles. I think that the animation style is so specific that I think it would actually hurt it a lot. You know, I like, being 100% honest, this art style is charming and cute, and I think it would hurt a lot if it were to become one of the shows with varying art styles. So, I don't think it should do that. But anyways, we have some other characters, like Sticky Note, who is generic nerd guy. I'm telling you, this is factory setting. And of course it's the Sticky Note, the classic character that's smart. Freaking, like, even fucking Paper Puppets back in 2012 did this. But alright. And then we have Macaroni, that seems to be wowed by the world. We have Almighty Bread, which is the classic object show trope of a character that is for some reason getting helped out by everybody, despite the fact that they do not move, they do not have any type of movement. This is very factory setting, but like it's a lot of the classic stuff. But again, it's TUOS, so that doesn't really matter. You know, like, again, that's kind of the thing about it. TUOS has found a very nice way to keep itself to like a nice little standard vibe. You know, it's kept itself to a nice standard vibe. Of like, it's cute, it's charming, I enjoy looking at it for the minutes it's up. It's not there for a long time, right? It's not trying a lot, and it's there. And, like, it can absolutely run off in this factory settings. You know, like, part of me, of course, kind of wonders from time to time, is this fulfilling, though? That's kind of the one thing that's a debate with it, right? Because it's like, you know, you could see it with Horizon, where it was like, okay, yeah, we see that there's a little bit of a competition, but like, we want to do something more, right? We want to do something more story. And I do think that there's a lot of that kind of debacle going on here with the sort of crispy creative journey, right? Because it's like, we have that vibe, but like, and we can do that vibe forever, but like, at the same time, we maybe are going to be wanting to look into something more creatively fulfilling. But especially after Horizon, which was a little bit more daring, going back to basics, it's fine. Second episode is entitled Creativity Takes Guts. Here we go. Alright, so that is episode 2 of the Ultimately Object Show Back to Basics, and so we do have new anime. Guess I spoke that one into existence. Well, I said that it would hurt the show if there was, so do I think it hurts the show? Answer, yeah, I still do. Yeah, I think that like, cause it's a show that, because like, here's the deal. It's when you have these chill shows, right? Like these kind of relaxed shows they have the sort of comforting vibe, right? That's the vibe that they're trying to emit, right? And we're having these shows in like the welcoming kind of home environment, right? They feel like home, some of these shows, right? And I do think that TUOS is kind of like that. It's like a competition, but it's very baseline, right? It's very homey, right? You want it to be consistent, like home, right? Which means that having a consistent style that you can trust and always be looking at it is very important, right? And it's something that, for example, while we're here, Lakeside Party is a perfect example of that, right? Lakeside Party is a perfect example of that. It has its own welcoming home style that's perfectly consistent to itself. If Lakeside Party randomly switched up its style to 2D every once in a while, it would work, right? And for as much as it might look from afar like there isn't, that crispy TV art style is very unique. It's not an art style that I have certainly seen replicated, because there's a lot of specifics to it, you know? Like there's like the lines are very big for everything, for the outline of the characters, but also the arms themselves. The arms are overall very short for your average Object character, right? They don't bend too much, right? Same thing goes. The eyelashes tend to be mildly curved, right? They're curved. They have an upwards trajectory curve, and however, unlike a lot of the other situations, the eyelash is the same size as the eye, which is different, right? There's a lot of that stuff kind of going on, and that is not replicatable necessarily, right? Like, for example, like what scene do we best take? Like, you know the scene after the challenge start, right? Where the mini balls are thinking about what they should draw, right? And they proceed to spawn in the robot, right? The draw ball, right? Like, look at the mini ball in this scene. Let's observe, okay? Let's do a judging here, okay? Nothing against this, but like, if you come out here and compare, right? And you compare to how the mini ball are, in the show. First of all, the freaking, like, the feet are definitely too big. They're too wide. Right, the eyelash is significantly smaller. The body feels kind of very disproportionate because the sizes of the mouth and the eyes are directly different to the size of the outline, which is different to the size of the limbs. When on average, it tends to be very consistent across the original art style, right? And also, the mini balls are completely just non-resized, by the way. They're like equally as big as Almighty Bread, even though they're supposed to be like 25% of the size. See what I mean? Like, there's just not that degree of consistency, but and for a lot of shit that is perfectly acceptable, but for a show like this, where it's supposed to have kind of a home feel to it, I don't think it is. And I think it's there would need to be a lot more style guide following than there currently is to let other animators in. Also, shout out to all the animators who did not bother making a walk cycle and just came in there and was like, yo fellas, we coming in and we taking the BFDI fucking walk cycle and we're blasting it onto the character as if it fits at all. Like, what? But yeah, that's kind of what I generally think here. It's a little bit meh. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not too convinced. Anyways, what actually happens in this episode? The thing that happened in this episode, the host continues to be, they're kind of mildly awkward self. For not really knowing what to do, they end up getting a prize. Sticky Note ends up getting eliminated right away, which, I mean, I can see it. I personally would have had Coconut eliminated because Coconut wasn't looking like Sticky Note was trying to win and had their ideas taken, rather than Coconut that wasn't trying anything but was just kind of hoping somebody else would drag them along to victory. So I personally would have eliminated Coconut, but Sticky Note also did just fail. They had two things there, but they made a jetpack that didn't work, and they made a catapult that A, only has one use, and two, wasn't really and like, you know, that they spend too long blabbering onto the meta camera about. So they leave. Challenge is a drawing contest, and as I said, the mini balls in the Almighty Loaf proceeds to and the Almighty Loaf, by the way, moves now. I thought the gag with the Almighty Loaf was that they didn't move, but I guess they do move like a celebrity. I don't know. So they do move. All right. So I guess I was wrong in that aspect. And they find an art robot that it seems like an AI. Which, by the way, those paintings in the background, are those AI? Those feel like AI. Those look like AI. I don't know if they are AI, but they do look like AI. But anyway, the art robot proceeds to run away. In the meantime, Macaroni makes some art using their feet. Coconut proceeds to just kind of draw. They seem to be a pretty good artist. The mini balls and Almighty Loaf, they do manage to successfully get it done. After they did to get it done, I mean, to kidnap the art robot, which they don't even use, by the way. They don't try to use the art robot. They just kidnap them and be like, "You stay there." I mean, like, if you were gonna use the art robot for wait a minute, if you were gonna use the art robot for anything, why are you grabbing them off the street? Let them run away if you were gonna use them anyways. Like, come on, what was the point of that entire chase? Whatever. Then we end up judging the drawings. The coconut drawing is very good, very, very good. I would give it a 9, absolutely, considering how much time there was. Then the macaronis. I like the fact that that is kind of like a row of macaronis. You know, they're looking like a domino chain. So yeah, and again, you know, you gotta respect the effort. But I mean, of course, there's not a lot there, so I'm gonna give it a 5, 5.5. And overall, Mini Balls and the Mighty Loaf didn't get time to draw anything, so they're up for elimination. So there we go. I guess the Back to Basics season is a little bit of a animational test, right? like it's a bit of a test, just to kind of see what we are like, how it is like with a team, how it is with our voice actors, how it is with our animators, right? Like I think we're treating it as a little bit of a test of crew construction, right? Which could be interesting if, of course, certain like bigger scenarios like the mini ball time were to happen and need a crew, right? Something like that. But for now, what I think of the experiment, voice actors are fine, but I would personally say that the style is too specific to currently give out to other animators. That's my personal eye on it, right? Like, it's a very unique art style that feels that makes you feel very at home, but it has to really be the art style, you know? Like, having the tweaks of it, I don't really think it works, so it either needs to be way more rigorous, which can be frustrating for an animator, or just not, right? Because, like, I mean, in terms of speed, it's not exactly getting the episode out faster. Like, it still took, like, a month when a lot of the Horizon episodes came out weekly, you know? That's kind of happening, and you can see it, for example, in the joke show made by 78 Card, right? The one that we took a look at right before this. The same shenanigan happens there, right? Like, you can see that the crispy style is not matching the other styles. In that show, it's acceptable, because that's kind of the vibe. I personally think I think that it's exaggerating even there, but like, even then it's more acceptable, right? That the animation would switch in style, but like, you can see just how much it swaps if you take a look at the episode, right? That I definitely think impacts it here. So that's this is my opinion. You can absolutely look at what I've just said and say, no, you are wrong. I personally, I will disagree with you, but you know, that's what I think. All right, there we have it. Next thing. Alright, next up we are gonna go over to the Dave Minecraft channel, because those fellas over at the Multiversal Battle team have dropped by some new episodes in the past couple of months. It's been actually quite a while. Both episodes are actually quite old. Now, there again, those episodes I was definitely supposed to look at back in that original time span, and in fact, we will do so. As a reminder, last time I think we had to save the John Porks from the burning building, and that turned out to be a very difficult task, and in fact, everybody failed, and everybody is, you know, up for elimination. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes in episode 3, which is entitled Evil Jeff, Not Epstein. Go. Alright, that is Multiversal Battle 3, and yep, that is a Multiversal Battle episode. Things certainly do happen in the way Multiversal Battle likes to make them happen. You know what, something I was kind of like, I was kind of looking at it and I was kind of getting confused. I'm a bit confused at how MLG's arms work, because it's like there's a consistency to how inconsistent the amount of arms are. Because like surely you don't just forget to make one arm in half of the frames, right? Like it's kind of weird. Like why do you only have one arm like 50% of the time? That's kind of weird, is it not? I don't know. I think it's kind of suspicious. Gotta make a game theory on it. I don't know, like. So somebody's got to drop by a film theory on Multiversal Battle. But anyways, no votes, which means that the eliminated contestant gets picked up random, and by random, I don't believe that, definitely biased. Sticky gets eliminated. Rubik's Cube's very sad about it. After they get freaking lasered to death. And yeah, the challenge proceeds to be Jeff the Killer. Yes, Jeff the Killer proceeds to drop by, and it's a image of Jeff the Killer. It's not like the image of Jeff the Killer, which I actually like. I'm not a big fan of the original Jeff the Killer image. It's a little bit it's a little bit gross in it. But yeah, this rendition of Jeff the Killer proceeds to do a couple of murders. Turns out Jeff the Killer is doing pretty good at killing. Some fellas try to hide in different places. It doesn't actually work very well. The Rubik's Cube tries to run away. In the meantime, the trumpet fella tries to go over to the policeman to, I guess, report that there's, Jeff on the loose, as if the giant earthquake wouldn't have notified them. However, they are having a big problem, and is that the policeman is me. It's me and Tim Zipu, which I'm not gonna lie. That sounds like that's the worst police force of all time. I don't think we are not. We are. Jeff is staying. Jeff is staying. I'm not gonna lie. You have no hope of getting Jeff arrested with these two as the police chiefs. They're not. There's not. And even, Jeff proceeds to do a murder. And then the only fella that manages to escape is the freaking hexagon fella, who doesn't even run away. By the way, they don't run away from Jeff the Killer. They do it with extra aura. They freaking sit and just glide across the screen. They're not running for their life. They're just angrily sitting there, and then they're just moving. they're just freaking skating across the ground, and Jeff the Killer does not have anything to do with it. They get distracted by the people that were running away until they run into them. Rubik's Cube tried to do the Yourboitayy strategy. However, unfortunately, Jeff the Killer is not affected by that. So therefore, there we go. Hexagon, with ultra aura mechanisms, manages to win. And yeah, everybody else up for elimination. Who's gonna get eliminated? I have no idea. I was gonna say the toothpaste fella. The toothpaste one, I don't know. I'm not too fond of them. I feel like the one the least interesting, but I don't really know. We're gonna need to see. We're gonna need to see it, and we will be seeing, because episode 4 released. Well, episode 4A, 4A released not long after. It's entitled. Do I say it? Save those. Okay, let's not be mean, okay? Let's not be mean. Alright, let's go. Alright, that is Multiversal Battle 4A, and that's a big episode. That's a lot. A lot of stuff happens in this episode. It's a very interesting one to actually observe, because you can see the influence, like, kind of at heart here, right? Like, you can see the object pointy nature of it, right? Significantly more than you can in the other episodes. You can see like the DNA shine through in the speed and the way that it operates, and in the way that it does the gags that it does, right? Which is, it's very interesting to say. Does it do it well? Debatable. It has, I would say that certain jokes are better, but it has less of them, right? Like the average joke is less creative and there's less of them, but there are some jokes that hit the mark. Like, for example, the way that Nightmare is utilized in this episode, in my opinion, is straight up just better than how Nightmare is utilized in 4 Point, because Nightmare in 4 Point is just like one monologue, which you understand. Okay, I get it. Haha, long monologue. All right, one time, but it played like 4 episodes in a row. When like that wasn't, that wasn't super fun. But like, there's other things like the fact that, like, okay, I got it, but like, I get that this is one of the gags recurring, but like there are like in this episode there is like 4 different gags about gay, like 4 times, and it's usually by different characters. That's like, okay, look, I get it. This is edgelord humor, but there's many different styles of edgelord humor, So like, I think it could vary a little bit more. Like so that's kind of what I think. I think it has a low floor but a high ceiling. But I never comment too much on the humor of it because it's not really. I will always historically say it's not necessarily my style specifically. But anyways, we begin the episode with blue circle and red circle. You think I don't remember these? I do. These are the characters from freaking TSOO, which I watched half a year ago. Yes, I remember these two. I don't remember anything they did, but I remember their existence. But one of their characters proceeds to get stolen, and they seem to know of MOG, of the yellow ball, and they're getting pissed because MOG is bad. I don't know. So we end up having ourselves some new characters, which got kidnapped by MOG, because of course they did, and I am one of them. I am in there. I am just a part of the show now. That, I guess, what did they say? You gotta do what you gotta do. I made it into the big leagues. I made it to multiversal battle. I'm one of the multiverses. I mean, this is GG. It's over for everybody else. But they're battling for a new Super Mario Bros. Wii, and I proceed to say, sign me up, I am entering this show immediately, which I don't know when I said that. That's kind of the mildly, you see, the thing about having this much catch-up footage is that I don't know what I said an hour ago into this video, right? Then, so like, you can sentence mix me better than I can. But and generally just have not knowledge. Like, I wouldn't know, which is kind of crazy. You see, like, I don't know when I said that. But yeah, that's kind of interesting. And look, personally, I like the sentence mixing. There's some people that don't like it. Look, if you want for some reason, if you want to add me in your show, this is for anybody. If you want to add me in your show and you want to send me, sure, go for it. Don't use AI for like voice and stuff, right? Don't like take the likeness, but like if you want to use like sentence mixing, the classic style, sure, why not? But anyways, I am in the show, fighting for New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Not every line is recorded by me. I think some lines are recorded by somebody else, because I guess we couldn't find me saying, what are we battling for? Which, fair enough. I wouldn't say that too often, because I am not actively in an object show. But I mean, you can just ask me to record the lines. All I'm saying, I mean, I don't know, DM me on Discord maybe? Drop by? No. I mean, you can do that if you want. I don't know. But do you think I've got anything better to do? This is a 3-hour long video. But anyways, the challenge is, everybody's going to join the show. However, the problem is that Hell appeared. And that's actually a big problem, because Hell is pretty bad. And while they're, look, this is fucking Vivzy Pop humor. So while they're fucking trying to close the fucking gates of fucking Hell, the other fellas down there are going to try to stop Nightmare and fetch me. Now, I happen to need to apparently direct my attention to Nightmare because, wait, what did I even say? Oh, yes, you're the classical text to speech guy. Would I say that? I mean, to be fair, I don't know. Did I know that guy's name was Nightmare? I mean, I don't know. I would probably say, oh wow, it's the Five Nights at Freddy's guy. But you know, it's close enough. You know, I'm doing a me review. Am I accurate? Am I canon? do I say, is this canon Eternal the Second behavior? You know, I gotta try to figure it out. Out here. Anyways, they proceed to do various attacks. I'm a big fan of Game Boy being capable of turning into a Tetris block. I think that's rather cool. Some of the guys at the Bite of 87 are pretty fun to have. I think they fit thematically with the show as well. I don't know, the telephone guy proceeds to turn into Scott Coffin and makes Nightmare leave. Again, that's kind of fun, and it thematically fits to what Nightmare is. You see, I think it fits way better than how Nightmare fits in the other show. By the way, big fan of the voting icon. I don't remember those being there before. No, they weren't there because it was just them over the credits. And there's also a voting icon for myself, which is not a voting icon. That's just my profile picture. Should have been more creative. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that is that. Will I be joining the show? Probably not. I mean, I don't know who the other people are, but the other people, you know, they probably know of the existence of the show, right? Which means that they were probably able to vote for themselves. And I, as Eternal the Second policy, never actually vote on a show because I don't want to eat, because like, you know, by saying words I like suggest, but I usually don't want to impact the show directly, so I'll tend to not vote. And this is just something that I've always done, by the way. I've always not voted. Like, even back in the original when I was an OSC tuber or whatever, right? For some reason, I never voted. I don't know. I just couldn't. I've never wanted to directly change an outcome. I don't know. It's a very weird detail about me. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be joining Multiversal Battle, but I guess I got to go back to the police station. I don't know. And yeah, overall, that is Multiversal Battle 4A. Interesting episode. By the way, 4A? That's not 4A. That's just 4. There is no A to be involved in this episode. That is there. The episode ended. There's a voting screen. Like, somebody will be eliminated in the next part. That's just episode 5. There's no A involved in here. But anyway, we're talking about this for too long. What do I think of this? This is pretty cool. This is a pretty cool episode. There's some jokes that land. I think some jokes are mildly overused. But overall, it evens it out. And don't mind me thinking of the object point humor isn't the best. I don't mind. I think my inclusion is pretty fun. I enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, we'll see if more Multiversal Battle ever happens. For now, ka-chow into the next section. And finally, the last channel we are going to be keeping up with is the Party Hat channel. Yes, because there have been 3 new things that have happened since the last time. And we're going to start off here in chronological order and when they released. Sinister Showdown. Yes, Sinister Showdown. Episode 8 of Sinister Showdown is something that at this point we have observed many a time. Many things happened. We were trying to hide from the evil killer knife that is back, and the evil killer knife stole the other knife, and they're hidden off in a compartment, box, or whatever, right? And then one was like, they were like stuck somewhere, I think. And like that was happening, and then there was an epic battle, and then they were on a roof, and then all this stuff was going, and like they were like, oh yeah, and then they got sent to space officially, like the normal knife for the fake knife, the evil knife did that, because I think they were teamed together with a toilet paper, right? The fake knife and the toilet paper were there, and they threw the other knife into space. Where they're just there, I think. We'll see. That's kind of what I remember, but I'm gonna properly, refresh myself as I watch episode 9, which is entitled "Revive and Survive," featuring Allard Webb. Go. Alright, that is episode 9 of Sinister Showdown, Revive and Survive. And as is usual with Sinister Showdown, I don't really know what's going on, right? Like, this one is much more of a me fault, right? Because, of course, it's been a while since I watched it, and I already barely got it then, right? So, like, I'm needing to remember details. I don't remember a lot of what was happening, but, basically, I think the events of this episode follows. We're in like this area, and we're trying to recover people because a lot of people died, right? Because there was like the knife who was in the thing. I was getting recovered again by the toilet paper, because the toilet paper, who by the way is one of the is one of the villains of all time. Like this toilet paper villain proceeds to they're not scary, but they just do basic scary talk, right? They're just there to be an annoying. They're just there to be a nuisance. Like somebody is gonna go like, "I'm on a walk," and then toilet paper will pop out and be like, "Not for long." Alright, like it's always toilet paper comes in to do the rebuttal, right? But they won't actually do anything. But they're coming in with the rebuttal every time, and it's kind of funny, but. Either way, there's a recovery center. However, Ice Cube is glued on, and nobody can find them for quite a while until Rocket and the other fella, and Umbrella, right, also managed to find them. They recover a couple of people until a mysterious meteor that conveniently appeared destroys the recovery center, so they have to find a new recovery center. In the meanwhile, of course, you know, I think I do criticize a lot Sinister Showdown, right? Because it kind of tries to be spookier, ARGE type thing, and it kind of and I think it kind of struggled with the clarity of it. I think it's getting better though, slowly. I think it's getting better. It's just kind of dealing with a very intertwined net of situations. But I think once this show simplifies, it's gonna. I think it can definitely up its game in a way. But I do want to say some positive. First of all, by the way, like from a lot of the other shows in this general like ballpark, I will say that the voice acting is pretty good. We've got some pretty wide range of voices, a wide range of emotions, and you know, I've seen a lot of shows that have struggled with that, so seeing that proper like high class range of emotions, high class range of voices is there as well, which is nice. You know, mic quality might not be the best, but like it's there, absolutely, and that's one of the details which I will say I really enjoy. Like I was listening to like Ice Cube, and it's like that Ice Cube voice is a good voice, right? But anyways, our host Umbrella proceeds to form some new teams, Team Alive and Team Dead, bro. What in the teapot? what in the teapot is this, bro? Alright then, alright. Yeah, Team Alive and Team Dead proceed to do it. The challenge is and for everybody is to try to recover as many people as possible. You know, what is the challenge? Hold on. The challenge is to find other people in these lands to recover others. What? Okay, first of all, are there other people in the lands? Surprisingly enough, the answer is yes. There are other people in the lands. There's like a Nintendo Switch character that drops by from and an emoji. So, yeah, there are other people somehow. Alright, cool. There's also one random IRL scene in the middle where where the evil knife is definitely there. What are they doing? I don't know. They're like doing a murder. I don't know. They're doing a murder on a guy. I don't know who it is. The poor fella is dead. Alright? You gotta do what you gotta do. Fake knife is just out here coming in and stabbing people. Jeff the killer. You know, that type of deal. And anyway, Toilet Paper decides that it's time to actually do something, and they proceed to do a lot of murders. They pop balloon. Ice Cube proceeds to get zapped. Rocket gets zapped. Ice Cube just gets kind of beat up. And Umbrella continues to just fall by doing absolutely. By the Umbrella just dies like 3 times. Umbrella, no, like multiple times. A character just dies, you know, and I don't really get it. I don't really understand how it's supposed to happen. Like in the post-credit scene, right? Like we end up like Umbrella gets recovered from the recovery thing, and they go like, "What's happening, Rose?" And then they just poop dead. What happened? What? Huh? That happened twice. That happened back when they originally died as well. It's like, huh? How did that happen? What? You just die. You just pop out of existence. This is a Toilet Paper just has a remote control. Be like, is Umbrella dead or not? Beep, dead. Beep, dead. Beep, dead. It's like, oh, dude, what is what is this sound? I'm sounding like a cashier. Beep, beep. That'll be $4.99. What am I doing? But like, yeah, overall, I think I see what's going on. Team Alive proceeds to lose the challenge because they don't, I guess, manage to revive everybody. Ever since Magnet died, I mean, everybody dies, but whatever. Lego, Magnet does not get to be up for elimination, and Lego, Ice Cube, and Balloon are for elimination. But like, but wait, no, I kind of disagree because Magnet died, so they're going Team Dead, so they're not up for Elam. But Balloon also definitely died, and they are up for. And they're not, and they are up for Elam. I don't know. Not necessarily sure if I agree with that, but I guess I'll vote Lego because they're the ones that did the least useful things. But I'll see. By the way, emoji speaks in some language. I don't know if I can't tell. It's not a language I recognize. I don't recognize the sound. So it could not be a language. It could be gibberish. But if it is a language, it's giving me Asian language vibes. But I don't know. Look, I don't know. I'm not gonna assume in this department. I don't think that's good for me to assume. Yeah, there we go. That's Sinister Showdown 9. I do think that it's getting a little bit more clear as time's passing, right? Like, this is a relatively digestible episode. The only reasons why I'm ever confused is because of the prior stuff, right? So I do think it's getting better, and I do realize the voice acting in it. So that's those are the ups. But let's see what else we're doing, because there's 2 more things in 2 more series. Party Hat did an episode 1 of a show entitled Object Awesomeness, with not awesome with an E, awesome. How would you say this? Object Awesomeness. It is entitled, "Listen, man, I'll chop you limb from limb if you don't shut up." Go. Alright, that is episode 1 of Object Awesomeness, and I think we should rename it Object Shut Up, because that's the only thing the characters say in this fuck ass show. We gotta shut up counter. Like, a character breathes, and then the other character goes, "Shut up, you're so loud," and then they say it louder. It's like a progression. It's like a shepherd's turn, you know? It's like it progressively just gets louder as the loud character gets told to shut up by the louder character, who gets told to shut up by the louder character. But anyways, it's very crudely drawn, although not always. That there's a little bit of an inconsistency in how crude the character's drawn. Because like a character like that pizza slice, for example, I actually really like how that pizza slice asset looks. But other characters like the upside down fries, there's just no bothering to fill in the asset or anything, right? So it just kind of depends, I guess. Upside down C, which is like a gigantic face with gigantic teeth, which I think is an alright design, proceeds to host the challenge, just to find the gun. They don't actually move the gun, so they just have it. So then my -2 ball proceeds to just grab it off of them, and there we go. They found it. Fair enough. They pick their team dates, which is also who's safe. So they dodgeball, baseball, soccer ball. They pick all the balls, and then also upside down fries. That means everybody else is up for elimination. The shirt fella that got told to shut up is now sad, and the 3, which has wanted to tell a story, got also told to shut up. So basically, look, I guess I shouldn't talk about this show for too much longer, because otherwise I'm gonna get told to shut up, right? So I mean, I gotta chill out. Who's getting eliminated? I don't even know what this gray square is, so we'll go with that. But otherwise, I don't know. Anyways, now it's time for BFM. Yes, BFM, or Battle for McDonald's. As a reminder, last time we had a proper episode of BFM for one of the first few times where we had to throw people off the platform with bombs. Some people did that, some people gave up, some people did other things. But let's see. Episode 4 is entitled Style Shift. Go. Alright, that is BFM for Style Shift, and what happens in this episode? Well, the rundown of it is BFB29. I don't need to say anything. This is basically a beat for beat, a sort of a rekindling of that idea. the show is apparently low quality, so it's getting cut in budget by a mysterious director, which in this case happens to be a plastic cup. And then every minute the show is getting worse and worse in quality until you get the money to get it back. To get BFM back to budget, you don't need like $1 million, you only need $5, so that's fair enough. But this means that the entire episode has happened in a relatively speedrunny style. Which is pretty interesting. Now, do I think it pulls it off? Well, I mean, okay, first of all, is this a good idea? Sure, if you want, right? Like, I mean, it's one of those things where when you take a BFDI core idea, everybody knows, right? Like, you're not stealing, really. Like, everybody knows. This is BFB29, right? But, like, despite that, I think it's acceptable. Do I think it performs it alright? You know what? I think it kind of does. It struggles near the finish. It definitely struggles near the finish because basically, like, that's kind of one of the things with it. As the style gets lower and lower quality, right? As it turns into more and more, like, less faces not being on the screen, into the, into the paper, right? It starts to become more and more complicated to actually showcase the action on screen because you're not capable of properly displaying it, right? And I think it definitely struggles around that later part, and then you just kind of have to rely on audio, being like, I'm gonna get it. But especially in that early part, like, for example, during the elimination, I thought it was clean. Like, I liked some of the assets in the elimination, say, showing the area and stuff. And, I think that it can absolutely be an interesting approach here. The 4 possible features. Because, like, seeing this kind... Like, I would be interested in the possibility of, like, a super simple show, because, like, in a way, we end up having, these complicated mega stories going on, right, with, like, Sinister Showdown, or some gimmick that makes that makes the show a little bit tougher, like Awesomness or the Grow Garden show, right, or a show like this that's just kind of barreled by a little bit of general inconsistency, right, like, I really do think that trying to stick to the basics of an object show to try to, like, get an object show with, like, a clean asset, right? Like something more along the lines of, like, a clean, consistent asset with a simple style, maybe not even an environment, something like along those lines, right? Like, maybe, of course, I watch a lot of the object fooligan shows, right? Shows that are kind of very object fool replicating, but, like, I really do think that, we could probably, by taking in a format that encourages this ultra simplicity like Object Fool does, I would honestly kind of recommend it. That would be maybe my recommendation in terms of further bettering ourselves here, because, like, I do see certain aspects of seeing how the simplicity of like forcing your style design to be simple for this episode actually allowed it to be mildly cleaner than it is in actuality, right? It's so, like, having a little bit of a combination of trying to do a mega simplistic kind of approach to a show sometime could be interesting, right? Like a show where you just try to get every fundamental forced in, right? So having the asset be consistent, having the voice acting be consistent, not trying to do any over the top story, just the fellas, they do a small challenge, very small challenges, and they get it, right? Like, absolutely, that would be maybe my tip, I think that an Object Fool style show could absolutely be an approach that I would maybe consider doing. I would maybe try to consider tackling it, because while it's super short, they do tackle all of the main components to some degree of an object show. In a way that would allow you to practice and get better. So that's probably what I would consider. But anyways, they do get the $5. They do end up getting the $5. Again, certain moments, certain styles I enjoy. The style where they were just kind of hopping back and forth, I thought was relatively well styled. and eventually after they run through on the paper, I do like the way that they have the clash for the $5, that little 1 second of well animated scenery. I think it's pretty cool. But anyways, the team with Pac-Man, paper, magma ball, and thread are up for elimination. Who getting out? No idea. I'm gonna say Pac-Man because that's not technically an object, but who knows what the viewers will do. But anyways, that's what I think of BFM. That wasn't really that much of a BFM talk. I thought this episode of BFM was alright. I think it showed potential in how, by maybe simplifying a little bit of the approach for a show, we could actually have something here, right? Because so far, the other shows, they're sometimes a little convoluted, they've sometimes been a little convoluted or a little bit inconsistent. So I think trying to get a super consistent, tiny thing that sticks to fundamentals could be a good way to progress. That's kind of what I think, but, for BFM itself, this episode was alright. I would say that it's definitely near the top of the BFM episodes because those first two barely had anything. And episode 3 was also alright. So the BFM episodes, I would say, are pretty solid. It's the most easily digestible, I would say, of the party hat shows for sure. It's probably out of the shows the one which I would be the most willing to watch at any given time. You know. So yeah, pretty cool. Alright, let's do an outro. Alright, and that will be all for today's episode of Object Catchup. There we go. That was pretty fast ever since the last episode. Now, I did say, okay, so I said that the catch-up episodes would not be daily. And I mean, in fact, this wasn't. This was 2 days, 2 or 3, depending on the edit, days after the previous catch-up episode. True, however, this was due to additional availability, specifically in this week. This doesn't necessarily mean that it'll happen, right? Like, I don't want to set an expectation right now, because I don't think that I'll be capable of properly doing this amount, right? Because I had to do a proper full catch-up's worth of production here to be able to get this episode up to par in 2 days, when I don't believe that I'm going to be able to do a catch-up worth of production a lot of the time. It's just this time I will. But so the main thing that I absolutely have to reiterate here is don't have any more catch-up release day expectations. Currently, I cannot promise them, and I am not willing to quite go to the length to force it to happen when there's other projects and other ideas that are there, right? And I, sometimes find a little bit more creatively fulfilling, as I said in the outro to the last episode. I want to keep this as an option because I do absolutely enjoy it, but I don't necessarily want to do this like daily forced, okay? Because that's impossible, and I want to do other things as well. But for the Mino that we did, that's every episode that we watched. I will see what the next episode is going to be, because theoretically it should be something different, but we'll find out. We'll find out what I'm going to make the next episode when it is going to be time for it. But for now, that is all for this episode of Object Catchup. See you next time.